Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 2789. 3 levels in a row. As for the fallen exceptional talent, she was clearly already completely exhausted, believing that she was undoubtedly going to die. However, she didn't feel any regret, because those who could become exceptional talents were all individuals with resolute wills. They would rather die on the path of advancement than spend the rest of their lives in obscurity. However, at this time, an arm pulled her up. At the same time, a voice also sounded. Everything has to be done within your capabilities. Sometimes, when you take a step back, you will discover that there are many paths to choose from, not just one. No, I don't want to fail, I don't want to leave this place. That injured individual replied with difficulty. She thought that Lin Ling was going to send her out of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, but she was unwilling, because she didn't need this type of sympathy. What she needed was to walk further and higher. Put me down. Her voice became weaker and weaker. However, it was as if Lin Ling didn't hear anything, continuing forward with her on his back. After continuing for a while, that type of pressure became weaker and weaker, making that injured exceptional talent finally open her eyes. Only then did she discover that Lin Ling didn't send her out, instead bringing her towards the second floor's passage. At this moment, her mind was greatly shaken. It was to the extent where she saw that Lin Ling was carrying 3 people on his back. Just what kind of man was he exactly? In reality, the exceptional talents in the Great Hall all felt as if they were struck by lightning. Not a single one of them could leave this place, while Lin Ling could bring 3 people out. This difference was just too great, right? Wait, bring me along. I am King Yuan Yang's son. If you bring me out of this place, this king will reward you greatly. Did you hear my orders? Then, those exceptional talents seemed to have seen hope, all of them shouting loudly. Hong Long Long. However, Lin Ling didn't even give them a look, instead smashing a fist into the wall at the side of the passage, making large amounts of rocks shoot into the hall, unexpectedly blocking those exceptional talents' path forward. As a result, if they wanted to reach the second layer, it would be even more difficult. Lin Ling, you are courting death. This scene undoubtedly made those exceptional talents so angry they vomited blood. Goodbye. With his back facing them, Lin Ling waved his hand and disappeared into the tunnel. After exiting the tunnel, Lin Ling discovered a pitch-black corridor at the end of the tunnel. It was made of some unknown rock, and it should lead to the second level. However, the mysterious pressure in the corridor had completely disappeared. My realm essence has become even purer. Mine too. At this time, Chen Nan and the others immediately discovered that after leaving the first level, their strength had increased slightly by 10%. One had to know that at their level, it was very difficult to increase their strength. To be able to increase their strength by 10% in 100 years was already a great blessing. Yet now, in less than 2 hours, their strength had risen to a whole new level. How could they not be pleasantly surprised? Looks like the Copper Sparrow Pavilion has its benefits too. Lin Ling was the one whose strength had increased the most among them. This was because the realm essence in his 3 dantians had become even purer. His strength had increased by a whole 30%. Thank you. At this time, a clear voice rang out. It was the girl that Lin Ling had saved before. She felt a bit guilty because she thought that Lin Ling wanted to send her out of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. It's just a small matter. Lin Ling smiled and waved his hand. He looked at the corridor ahead. What about you guys? Do you want to continue? When the 3 of them heard this, their gazes immediately burned with passion. Although it was Lin Ling who had helped them pass the first level, they were still a bit unwilling to give up like this. Then let's continue. Seeing the 3 of them remain silent, Lin Ling immediately nodded. He also knew that the 3 of them were unwilling. However, Lin Ling still had the confidence to bring them out of the first 3 levels. Thus, Lin Ling didn't stop them. Thank you. My name is Tian Luochen, I'm a member of the Blue Flame Army. The girl bowed towards Lin Ling, causing Lin Ling to wave his hand. It's fine. Saving you was just a small matter. At least compared to the people on the first level, you didn't disgust me too much. Thank you. The girl spoke again. She knew that the four great giants were in a state of competition. Lin Ling helping her was already an exception. Then, they followed the corridor and gradually reached the second level. Rumble. The second level was like a furnace. Rolling flames burned in all directions. These flames were obviously extremely unordinary. They were called Emperor Flames and were formed from tribulation clouds. According to legends, in every dynasty, when a venerable emperor of an imperial city fell, the Emperor Flames on their body would appear in the universe's primal chaos. In the end, they would be absorbed by the tribulation clouds and become Emperor Flames. This type of flame also had the might of an emperor. Crackle. There weren't many people on this level. There were only 3 people, and their bodies were burning with flames. One of them was even burned to the point where only his legs were left. However, they still continued to advance. They clearly didn't die. They wanted to reach the end before they were completely burned into nothingness. On the ground, there were charcoal-like human tracks. It was clear that 1 or 2 exceptional talents had been burned to death on this level. Fortunately, this level isn't difficult for me. Seeing this, Lin Ling couldn't help but smile. He brought the 3 of them and continued forward. At the same time, Chen Nan and the others were burned. That bone-piercing pain made their souls tremble. Continue forward. If you really can't hold on, I will help you. However, Lin Ling's voice floated over. Flames of time and space appeared on the surface of his body, blocking the Emperor Flames. He discovered that the tribulation clouds on the second level couldn't compare to the tribulation clouds on the Holy Cloud Road. This guy isn't burned? It seems like he's going to enter the 5th level. That's right. There were people who ignored the Emperor Flames before, but they were all the most powerful exceptional talents. The 3 exceptional talents in the hall all cried out in surprise. However, their bodies were burned into nothingness, which made the scene a bit strange. I really envy those guys. That girl is a member of our Blue Flame Army, but she's being protected by Lin Ling. One of the exceptional talents' voice was filled with jealousy. Because he saw that every time that girl was almost burned into nothingness, Lin Ling would absorb the Emperor Flames for her, allowing her to easily pass the second level. Gradually, Lin Ling and the others disappeared from the second level. After coming out, Chen Nan and the others were all overjoyed. Because after experiencing the burning of the Emperor Flames, their realm essence became even purer. The realm essence in my fire Dantian is even purer than before. My strength has increased by another 10%. On the second level, Lin Ling's gains were the least. What changed was only his fire Dantian. Next, they arrived at the 3rd level. What was surprising was that there wasn't a single person on the 3rd level. The test here was a vast expanse of white. Clearly, this level didn't have any danger. The only difficulty was to make one lose their sense of direction. And for Lin Ling, who had a powerful soul force, this level was very simple. After spending an hour, the 4 of them walked out of the 3rd level. What made them speechless was that this 3rd level didn't have any difficulty, but they didn't gain anything either. However, the 3rd level was a dividing line. The exceptional talents outside the Copper Sparrow Pavilion mostly failed after the 3rd level. Chapter 2790. Sword Tribulation Clouds. Lin Ling immediately looked at them and asked if they wanted to continue. Since we're already here, let's continue. Chen Nan looked at flying smoke and the others and finally decided. Okay, but I don't know what's on the 4th level, so you have to be careful. Lin Ling immediately nodded. He couldn't help but sigh. These guys were worthy of being first-generation talents. Their willpower wasn't something ordinary people could compare to. They walked along the corridor and arrived at the 4th level. Before they even entered, the buzzing of swords could be heard. This level was actually sword tribulation clouds. Swords revealed their sharpness. Killing intent, attack power, and fatal attacks were all the most powerful. Lin Ling and the others stood in front of the door and looked ahead solemnly. They didn't see anyone on this level so far. They didn't know if the people on this level were dead or had entered a higher level. Let's go in. Without any hesitation, Lin Ling and the others stepped into the 4th level. Swoosh swoosh. At the same time, a dazzling sword shot down from the sky like lightning, causing Lin Ling's expression to change slightly. With a wave of his right hand, the tyrant song also shot out to resist the sword in the sky. A Dao domain sword. Ah! At the same time, Lin Ling also exclaimed. That sword wasn't weak at all. As for Chen Nan and the others, it was as if they were facing a great enemy. Fortunately, Lin Ling's sword Dao was stronger than they imagined. After clashing, he actually broke the sword in the sky. Hurry up. Ah! However, before Chen Nan and the others could be pleasantly surprised, Lin Ling's anxious voice was heard. Everyone immediately moved forward quickly. However, after a few breaths, 2 swords appeared in the sky and shot towards Lin Ling and the others from 2 directions. This time, Chen Nan and the others were shocked. They could faintly see that the swords here were endless. Lin Ling, let's go. Ah! This time, it was flying smoke and falling dust who attacked. They used their ultimate skills and shattered the 2 swords. Then, the 4 of them quickly moved forward. They knew that there would definitely be more tribulation swords coming, and they had to find the exit before they arrived. Sure enough, 3 swords appeared for the 3rd time. This forced Chen Nan to join the battle. Junior brother Lin Ling, hurry and find the exit. The 3 of them worked together to block the Calamity Sword, allowing Lin Ling to find the exit. Lin Ling was also somewhat anxious, but this place was very big, the sky was a vast expanse of white, the ground was also a vast expanse of white, his soul force could only sense the sharp chi, but it was very difficult to find the exit. This cloud should have been left behind by the peerless sword god. However, even though it was difficult, Lin Ling still did not give up. As time passed, 4 swords appeared. Gradually, 5 swords appeared. Then, 6 swords appeared. After the 6 tribulation swords appeared, Chen Nan and the others could no longer destroy the swords. They could only resist with all their might. However, after the time it takes for 3 incense sticks to burn, 6 more swords appeared in the sky. This meant that there was a time limit to the appearance of the Calamity Swords. If one could not defeat the Calamity Swords in a short period of time, then the number of Calamity Swords would double. Most importantly, on this floor, everyone's other techniques seemed to have been suppressed by 10 to 20%. On the contrary, only by clashing swords could the sword Dao display its full power. Even Lin Ling's flame of time and space was suppressed. Flame Wheel. Staring at the 12 swords in the sky, Lin Ling knew that he had to use an even more powerful technique. He activated Evil Rock Wall, causing flames to erupt and explode a large number of swords into pieces. Let's go. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lin Ling led the group forward like crazy. This time, they safely passed through the time it takes for 3 incense sticks to burn. Junior brother Lin Ling, the exit has appeared. Suddenly, Tian Luochen pointed ahead. A huge layer of clouds had appeared in the sky ahead of them. The clouds were multicolored and emanated a sharp glow. Moreover, the clouds were revolving around a huge passageway. That was probably the exit. Great, we finally made it. Chen Nan couldn't help but wipe his sweat. Only the heavens knew how many swords would appear if they stayed any longer. Fortunately, they had finally reached the end. That's not necessarily true. Look, is that a cloud? However, while everyone was pleasantly surprised, Lin Ling helplessly spread out his hands and poured cold water on them. Fian and the others looked at the clouds in the distance. Only then did they discover in horror that those were not clouds, but sword clouds formed by swords intertwined together. This meant that there must be thousands or even tens of thousands of swords in that huge layer of clouds. At this time, the corners of everyone's mouths trembled. What the hell is this place? It's too scary. Could this be the gathering place of all the swordsmen of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty in the past? There's no other choice now. Only by rushing into the passage can we be considered to have succeeded. Hurry. At this time, Lin Ling's anxious voice stunned Shen Nan and the others. Rushing into the sword clouds? Wasn't that courting death? However, at this moment, they really had no other choice. Whoosh! Whoosh! The four of them hurriedly rushed forward, as if they knew that there was a tiger in the mountain, but they still chose to go. Almost at the same time, the clouds in front of them squirmed, and the crisp sound of metal clashing rang out. Countless swords were pointed at Lin Ling and the others, and then they shot over like lightning. These swords were extraordinary. Each sword seemed to be the oldest swordsman of the Great Azure Divine Dynasty. Junior brother Lin Ling, we're dead for sure. Why don't we go back? Yes, if we go any further, we won't even have a way out. Seeing this terrifying scene, Tian Luochen, Chen Nan, and the others all spoke. Even their pace seemed to have slowed down. After all, it was impossible for them to rush into the sea of swords without a certain amount of courage. It's too late. We can only go forward. However, Lin Ling's voice was filled with determination. He knew that even if they retreated now, those swords would still catch up. So, it was better to go forward bravely. Perhaps they would have a chance to rush to the end. Chen Nan and the others were astounded. It was even to the extent that Tian Luochen thought to himself. This Lin Ling is probably doing this intentionally. At this moment, Tian Luochen almost wanted to abandon Lin Ling and the others and flee by himself so that Lin Ling and the others could block those swords. Azura sword formation. However, right when the sea of swords was about to sweep through them, Lin Ling finally erupted with a formidable sword Dao. 365 swords, like dazzling meteors, shot forward. These swords were orderly and didn't seem to be inferior to the sea of swords at all. Moreover, on this level, cultivators could only bring forth their full strength when they collided with each other. So, these swords were clearly much sharper than the attacks from before. Rumble. After the swords from both sides collided, their imposing auras seemed like the heavens and the earth were about to collapse. It actually caused Chen Nan and the others to stand there dumbstruck. They'd never imagined that Lin Ling would actually be able to block all the swords. All of you leave this place immediately. At the same time, Lin Ling's cold and indifferent voice drifted out. All right. Tian Luochen took the lead and shot forward. Because Lin Ling had attracted all the swords, the path to the 5th level was unobstructed. Tian Luochen. Chapter 2791. A crazy attack. This is junior brother Lin Ling's intention. If we stay here, not only will we not help him, but we will also harm him. However, Tian Luochen did not stop and continued to charge forward. In the end, he disappeared into the finish line. That kind of decisiveness made Chen Nan and the others feel that it was unreal. I'm not leaving. Then, Chen Nan suddenly gritted his teeth and did not rush to the finish line. Instead, he sat down cross-legged not far from Lin Ling. Because, although Lin Ling blocked countless swords, in his opinion, Lin Ling's defeat was only a matter of time. He could not abandon Lin Ling and leave. I'm not leaving either. Fian also shouted. Although Lin Ling told them to leave, she could not abandon Lin Ling because without Lin Ling, she would have died on the 1st level. Lin Ling, he seems to have attracted all the swords on this level. Yeah, Lin Ling can't leave even if he wants to now. Then, the two of them looked at the sky because more and more swords were shooting over from the sky. They actually surrounded Lin Ling tightly. In the end, Lin Ling's figure was even drowned by the swords. This shocking scene made Chen Nan and the others secretly sweat for Lin Ling. They were even more worried. At this moment, Lin Ling controlled 365 swords to block the sea of swords. He really couldn't leave now. If it wasn't for his Azura sword formation that could attack and defend, the melody of the wind and the self-formed soldier formation, he would have been pierced by thousands of swords. Condense. As time passed, Lin Ling also knew that his Jia Qi would be exhausted, so he also risked his life and condensed the 365 swords into a huge sword. His sword heart reached 70% and he fiercely slashed out. However, after a series of metal clashing sounds, the sea of swords was cut open, but even more swords shot over and instantly flooded the gap. It seems that with my current sword Dao, I can't charge out at all unless my Azura sword formation reaches the last level. Lin Ling's eyes flickered. In the end, he gave up on charging out of the sea of swords and chose to sit down cross-legged to comprehend the 5th level of the Azura sword formation. Of course, he still hid his strongest trump card. If he was in a life and death crisis, he would definitely explode. Junior brother Lin Ling, how is he? Could it be? Is he dead? Nonsense, if he dies, these swords will scatter. Chen Nan and Lin Ling continued to talk. They gave up the chance to leave and decided to accompany Lin Ling through this calamity. At the same time, on the 5th floor, a large number of figures appeared and walked towards Lin Ling. The swords on the 5th floor have actually disappeared. What happened? Someone must have lured all the swords over. The 5th floor is simply a world of swordsmen. Aside from using the sword, all other methods are suppressed here. Chen Feng exclaimed. However, someone attracted the swords. This is perfect for us. Excited voices sounded from these people's mouths one after another. They were all exceptional talents who were stopped in the 5th level. They arrived here even faster than Lin Ling's group, but they were stopped by these swords. They couldn't find the exit either. If not for all of the swords being attracted by Lin Ling, they still wouldn't dare move about randomly. That's the end. Suddenly, someone released a sharp voice, extremely excited. The others also saw the pitch-black passage in the distance. They all became overjoyed. Of course, they also saw the sword clouds in the sky, and they all sucked in cold breaths of air. No wonder no swords appeared. As expected, they were all attracted over. Which idiot is it? Doesn't he know that clashing swords in the 5th level will trigger all of the swords' attacks? Who cares? It's perfect for us. Those exceptional talents roared with laughter. They all walked towards the passage. Of course, along the way, they also saw Chen Nan and Fian. Chen Nan, it's you? Who is so unlucky, actually attracting all of the swords? One of them asked. These 100 exceptional talents clearly all knew each other. It's Lin Ling. Chen Nan didn't hide anything, because he saw that there were people from the imperial court among these exceptional talents. Lin Ling. The expressions of the exceptional talents from the imperial court immediately changed. Lin Ling's strength was a mystery, but he received a lot of attention from the imperial court. If they encountered him, they more or less had to take care of him. How is he right now? One of the exceptional talents asked. Chen Nan immediately pointed at the sword clouds in the sky and helplessly said, he's surrounded by countless swords. Senior Lu, is there any way to break free? Yes. The reason why he mentioned Lin Ling's name was precisely because he wanted the imperial court's exceptional talents to help. However, those exceptional talents all shook their heads. In the 5th level, unless one's strength was several times greater, only the sword Dao could display their full strength. That was why they couldn't help even if they wanted to. I hope he can make it through this disaster. Yes. After those exceptional talents shook their heads, they walked towards the end one after another, making Chen Nan and the others' expressions become gloomy. However, one of the exceptional talents suddenly stopped and asked curiously, Lin Ling? It's Lin Ling. This is too great, we actually ran into him. This exceptional talent stopped. Large amounts of people also followed him. Meanwhile, these exceptional talents were all dressed like scholars, clearly people from the Leftminster Manor. As for the exceptional talent who was laughing excitedly, he was precisely Wuxiao. Zither and flute duo, you know Lin Ling? Someone even asked curiously. Meanwhile, when Chen Nan saw Wuxiao, his expression also changed greatly. Not long ago, Lin Ling had come into contact with the zither and flute duo. In the end, Wuxiao's older brother appeared, stopping Lin Ling from taking action against Wuxiao. At that time, Wuxiao was extremely unwilling. Of course I know him, a fella who took advantage of me a bit. Wuxiao said with an ice-cold expression, making the surrounding exceptional talent's eyes immediately narrow. Wuxiao was a fragmentation realm exceptional talent, yet Lin Ling actually dared to provoke him? If they didn't remember incorrectly, this Lin Ling had just become an exceptional talent, right? This newcomer was so arrogant. However, from the looks of it, Lin Ling won't be able to escape death either. It's better if we leave. An exceptional talent who was comparatively older said. However, Wuxiao instead released a cold snort. After taking advantage of me, how can I let him die so easily? If he is going to die, he will die a bit more miserably. After saying this, the corners of his lips revealed a cruel smile. A flute appeared in his right hand, and then he pointed it at the sword cloud ahead. The flute shot out a streak of purple radiance, and as if it was a path to the heavens, it ultimately smashed into the sword cloud. Right now, the sword cloud was extremely terrifying. Countless swords were wriggling about, but after being struck by the purple radiance, they immediately became like crazy wasps, wriggling back and forth. The humming sounds became even more terrifying. You're crazy. Everyone immediately shouted fiercely. This was trying to kill them. However, even though the sword cloud became even more crazy, it clearly didn't take action against them. Instead, it shot towards the center of the sword cloud, crazily shooting out. Meanwhile, the center was clearly where Lin Ling sat cross-legged in cultivation. At this moment, everyone finally relaxed. Chapter 2792. Risking their lives to resist. Imperial Censor Longting, Lin Ling has quite the grudge with you all. Aren't you going to play around? In any case, the finish line is right in front of us. Even if the sword cloud changes, we still have enough time to retreat. Then, Wuxiao enticed the others to take action as well. Whatever. Someone smiled faintly. With a flick of his finger, a black nail shot towards the sword cloud, making the sword cloud go crazy again. Truly a strange sword cloud. Rumor has it that these swords are the swords of fallen swordsmen in Great Green Divine Dynasty's history. After testing the waters, that exceptional talent stroked his chin. He was actually testing something. Meanwhile, another person also took action. Then, he said with great interest, these sword clouds and sword hearts are extremely terrifying. However, due to different attributes, they cannot merge. Otherwise, I fear that none of us among the exceptional talents would be able to stop these swords. Is that so? Then I also want to give it a try. Hearing this, another exceptional talent became curious. He also took action. These exceptional talents took action one after another. Immediately, the sword clouds surged. Clear sounds also rose and fell. These fellas really are heartless. As for the exceptional talents closer to the finish line, they didn't take action. They weren't that bored. Even though they weren't familiar with Lin Ling still helped them pass through the fifth layer. That was why they couldn't do something like hitting him while he was down. All of you, enough. Right at this moment, Chen Nan's angry voice rang out. He directly floated up, glaring angrily at the exceptional talents. Chen Nan, Lin Ling's dog, scram. When they saw this, a few exceptional talents' expressions immediately became cold. For them to be able to reach this place, it was clear that most of them were fragmentation exceptional talents. Chen Nan was a junior in their eyes. Now, this junior actually dared to reprimand them? You all, can you be any more shameless? However, Chen Nan wasn't afraid at all. He was clearly also angered. If not for Lin Ling drawing all of the swords over, right now, you all could only be like rats, hiding all over the 5th layer. You wouldn't even be able to find the finish line. And now, thanks to Lin Ling, you all can enter the next layer. It's fine if you don't thank him, but you actually hit him while he's down. You are even curious about the origin of these sword clouds, continuously testing them. Are you all still men? Chen Nan's voice was laced with anger, causing the world to fall silent. All of the exceptional talents stood there quietly, shocked at Chen Nan's courage. Are you saying that we're not men? But soon, Zhua Xiao spoke with a cold tone. If you're a man, why don't you try charging into the sword cloud? This time, Fian also flew towards the sky and said while glaring at Zhua Xiao. Her words caused Zhua Xiao's expression to freeze, and he was unable to reply for a while. Previously, you were speaking so highly of yourself. Why don't you dare to speak now? If you're a man, then try charging into the sword clouds. When he saw this, Fian spoke again, making Chen Nan also reveal a smile. He looked at these exceptional talents who spoke without feeling any pain. The more he looked at them, the more annoyed he felt. The sword cloud was still there, and all of them were hiding. The sword cloud was attracted by Lin Ling, and they were pointing at him like seniors, as though they had seen through the sword cloud. How hypocritical. In the distance, the exceptional talents also laughed. When they saw Zhua Zhao's ashen face, they also felt carefree inside. Hee, I indeed don't dare, but Lin Ling dares. Lin Ling is a true man, is that enough? However, after Zhua Zhao's anger, he suddenly revealed an indifferent smile, even spreading his hands. So what if he's a man? He's nothing more than an unlucky bastard. Right now, half of his life has already been taken by Yama King, so how can he still be arrogant? Moreover, you all should be quite familiar with Lin Ling, right? Saying all that nonsense is just to make me stop. However, how can I let you do as you wish? When his words fell, he waved the flute in his hand. Purple radiance turned into a crescent radiance, hacking at the sword cloud. Hong long long. The sword cloud underwent another strange change. 10,000 swords hummed. Huh, Lin Ling, didn't you spare my life last time? Come out now and fight me. After doing this, Zhua Xiao faced the sky and laughed loudly. The flute in his hands also continuously brandished, making the sword cloud even more crazy. This Zhua Xiao is simply crazy. Seeing this scene, many exceptional talents helplessly shook their heads. It was clear that Zhua Xiao did not plan to leave. He was determined to toy with Lin Ling until he died. You! Chen Nan, Fian, and the others were so angry that their eyes turned red. They had never seen such a shameless person. Are you all very angry? The angrier you are, the happier I am. Junior brother Lu, you all attack as well. Let's see what this sword cloud looks like when it's angered to the peak. Zhua Zhao's anger towards Chen Nan and the others made him even more excited. He even ordered the people beside him to attack. That's exactly what I was thinking. You're not even a fragmentation exceptional talent, yet you dare to scold us? You're simply courting death. The exceptional talents beside him sneered at this moment, all of them attacking. Lin Ling won't let you all go. Seeing this, Chen Nan and the others roared even more loudly. I'm waiting for him to not let us go. Let me tell you, if it wasn't for my older brother stopping me last time, I would have killed Lin Ling back then. Lin Ling is very lucky. I have a good older brother who saved him. Zhua Xiao snorted disdainfully. Not only did he not stop, he attacked even more. At this moment, Chen Nan and the others became even more anxious. They looked at the sword cloud behind them, afraid that the sword cloud would directly kill Lin Ling. In reality, they did not know what Lin Ling's current situation was. However, at this moment, other than waiting, there was nothing they could do. Stop them. But soon, Chen Nan roared. He actually planned to block the attacks of Zhou Xiao and the others. Shocking Dragon Celestial Finger. Chen Nan's strength was not weak. However, the attacks he had to block were too many. Hee, it's getting more and more interesting. Watch my 3 fists suppressing 3. Seeing this, the exceptional talents beside Chen Nan and the others became even more excited. They did not attack Chen Nan, instead, they attacked the sword cloud. They wanted to see how Chen Nan would block it. You all are despicable. Fian was also forced to attack. If he could block one attack, then so be it. This would definitely help Lin Ling. However, there were only 2 of them, while Zhou Zhao's side had 5 people. They could not block them at all. They were sent flying again and again, and they flew back again and again to block the attacks. Gradually, Chen Nan and Fian also suffered heavy injuries. If it was not for the fact that Zhou Zhao's target was not Chen Nan and the others, with their strength, they would already be dead. These 2 are also madmen. Aren't they overestimating their own strength? Maybe Lin Ling saved them, so they are repaying him. I have to say, these 2 exceptional talents are quite sincere. In the distance, the exceptional talents muttered to themselves. They also sympathized with Lin Ling. Of all the people he could provoke, he just had to provoke the zither and flute duo. These 2 were from the Zhou family. This is really interesting. Just exceptional talents, yet you want to block us, fragmented exceptional talents. However, I don't believe that you can block that many attacks. At this time, a young man wearing a green robe beside Zhou Xiao said. His hands moved continuously, and mysterious runes appeared. Moreover, a true god martial spirit appeared behind him. Chapter 2793. Divine Guard Bloodline. Sure enough, those who could become Fragmentation Realm exceptional talents all had their own unique techniques that made them famous. Some were innate talents, some were martial arts, and some were elite weapons. Traceless Devil Seal. When the seal in his hand became more and more dazzling, that youth slapped out with his palm. A mysterious melody immediately filled the air, futilely increasing the pressure in the surroundings. Traceless Devil Seal, it's Feng Wuhan. Is this guy planning to seize all of their realm essence? Seeing this, the expressions of the distant exceptional talents became serious. This Feng Wuhan's divine body had a terrifying special ability. When facing an injured martial artist, he could seize all of the other party's realm essence, turning them into a cripple. Normally, to seize all of an exceptional talent's realm essence was extremely difficult. However, right now, Chen Nan and the others were risking their lives to block the attacks of others, continuously suffering injuries. This made it easy for Feng Wuhan. This guy had clearly been waiting for this moment for a long time. Hurry up and retreat. Don't pay attention to Lin Ling, he might already be dead. The Imperial Court exceptional talents in the distance all began to shout. However, under their shouts, Chen Nan and Fian exchanged a look. Not only did they not retreat, they instead attempted to block that palm together. Crazy. Many people immediately shook their heads. They knew that from today onwards, among the 100 exceptional talents, there were 2 less. Chen Nan and the others were definitely going to be crippled. Rumble. That mysterious palm enveloped Chen Nan and the others' heads. Wisps of powerful suction force were born, making Chen Nan and the others sense that their realm essence was crazily disappearing, and even their innate talents were disappearing. It seems like we've been crippled. Moreover, we've helped Feng Wuhan. The 2 of them exchanged a look, immediately laughing bitterly. In reality, they could have avoided that palm, but if they did, that palm would have landed on the sword cloud behind them. That was why they didn't dodge. I never thought someone would be hit by my Traceless Devil Seal. My strength is going to increase by 30%. That exceptional talent called Feng Wuhan laughed excitedly at this moment. It was as if he had eaten Chen Nan and the others alive. It was to the extent where he was already looking forward to his own strength increasing greatly. Zhua Xiao and the others also laughed, gloating even more. However, at this moment, the sword cloud suddenly surged. All of the swords seemed to have been summoned and shot over like a sea of swords. They appeared above Traceless Demon's palm, and then 10,000 swords slashed out. Rumble. The hand that had sealed and absorbed everything was immediately severed. At this moment, everyone's expressions changed greatly. He also saw that because he had used his sword to clash with the 10,000 swords, this had stimulated the sword will of the sword cloud. That was why the 10,000 swords were all aimed at him, and these exceptional talents could have safely left. But who would have thought that after taking advantage of them, they would not only not be grateful, but instead attack him? Did they think that he, Lin Ling, was a kind person? I attacked, so what? You are Lin Ling, right? Who gave you the courage to speak to an exceptional talent of the Water Splitter realm? On Zhua Zhao's side, the exceptional talents spoke with cold expressions. Moreover, they looked at the 10,000 swords in the sky and discovered that those swords began to recede like a tide. Moreover, they did not move towards the end, but instead seemed to have disappeared from the 5th level. Therefore, they did not fear Lin Ling. Moreover, Lin Ling did not even count as a fragmentation exceptional talent. Lin Ling, right? Thank you very much for attracting all the swords and allowing us to pass through the 5th level. Before, I was just a bit curious about the sword cloud, so I attacked. What? You can't accept it? As a junior brother, could it be that you do not know that whatever a senior brother wants to do, a junior brother should help? Who taught you in the Imperial Court? You are so immature, does the Imperial Court know? The exceptional talents also spoke one after another, as if the one in the wrong was Lin Ling, and not them. It was to the extent where they were telling Lin Ling that Lin Ling could help them pass through the 5th level, so that was Lin Ling's fortune. Fine. When he saw this, Lin Ling did not waste any more words. He first looked at Zhua Xiao. It seems like you do not care about your big brother's words. However, the matter between you and me, we will settle it later. These talkative people should be the ones who attacked before, right? Fine, then you pieces of trash can die. After saying this, he took a step forward. His blue robe fluttered, and he took the initiative to shoot towards one of them. Humph, not even at the peak of the true immortal realm, who gave you the courage? The exceptional talents who attacked exchanged a look. One of them had an irascible temperament, and he immediately attacked. He took a step forward, and with each step, he grew a bit taller. In the end, he became a giant. Divine Guard Bloodline. Chapter 2794. What a terrifying Ashura sword formation. These giants weren't weak at all. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been qualified to become divine guards. This meant that the exceptional talent who attacked would definitely surpass the true immortal realm in the future. Lin Ling is only at the 7th stage of true immortal realm. Although his reputation isn't weak, can he block an exceptional talent of the darkness-breaking realm? Then, everyone's eyes fell on Lin Ling. There was a hint of expectation in their eyes. Even Chen Nan and the others were the same. They knew that Lin Ling could defeat many exceptional talents. However, they had never seen him fight against an exceptional talent of the darkness-breaking realm. Most importantly, they saw that Lin Ling didn't seem to make a move against that indomitable giant. He just shot forward. Lin Ling, what was he trying to do? The giant was also stunned. He couldn't understand. Was Lin Ling here to die? However, since things had already reached this point, he immediately erupted with a huge amount of realm essence. It transformed into a palm and ruthlessly slammed towards Lin Ling. This palm was like a mountain that could shatter the heavens. It was terrifying. However, when everyone's eyes fell on Lin Ling, they were shocked to find that Lin Ling still hadn't made a move. Could it be that he wanted to meet force with the bloodline of a divine guard? However, just as the giant palm was about to land on Lin Ling, swords appeared. Those swords seemed to have been summoned and shot out from Lin Ling's body. Their speed was extremely fast. It was as if there were sharp boundaries that protected Lin Ling tightly. Lin Ling leaped past them. Those swords cut through all obstacles in his path, including his giant palm. Even when Lin Ling approached the giant, the countless swords also cleared away the obstacles. In a few breaths of time, the giant was cut into pieces. Plop. Plop. When pieces of flesh fell to the ground, everyone sucked in a cold breath. This sword formation was too terrifying. Everyone looked at Lin Ling again. They discovered that countless swords were dancing around Lin Ling's body, cutting through everything. The swords were indeed protecting him. Take this. Split the heavens and earth. However, at this moment, the three-headed and six-armed ancient god's hammer appeared above Lin Ling's head. The 6 giant hammers seemed to be able to smash through the myriad of worlds as they smashed down with unparalleled might. Earth core, hammer core, force core. Before the hammer descended, many people cried out in alarm. This was another shattering exceptional talent, and what made him famous was precisely this move. It was rumored that when this hammer descended, the sound waves affected the 1,000 realms. It was terrifying to this degree. You're the third. Lin Ling suddenly raised his head and pointed with his right hand. The swords around Lin Ling gathered together to form a giant sword. As if controlled by Lin Ling, it slashed toward the sky. Rumble. The giant hammer and the giant sword collided, and the momentum was earth-shattering. It was as if 2 giants were battling. Ka ka ka. Lin Ling sensed that his opponent's hammer was extremely extraordinary. If it was in the past, he would have to explode with all his trump cards to defeat his opponent. But now, he didn't need to. This was because his Omega Sword Dao had improved dramatically, and his sword heart had surpassed the level of 100%. This was also the power of the Ashura sword formation. Break for me. With a shout, the giant sword released a power that could cut through the myriad of worlds and slash toward the sky. Kacha. The giant hammer in the sky immediately shattered, and light sputtered in all directions like shooting stars. The exceptional talent who attacked also appeared in the sky. At this moment, his face was filled with astonishment. Impossible. I have 50% earth core, 30% hammer core, and 30% force core. My primal chaos energy has reached 100%. Lin Ling, your strength has entered the shattering exceptional talent level. This one is willing to admit defeat. Then, that person suddenly thought of something and quickly fled. This was because his giant hammer couldn't shake Lin Ling. This meant that Lin Ling's sword had surpassed the level of 100% sword heart. Every shattering exceptional talent had their own unique techniques that made them famous. Now, Lin Ling also had one. However, he wanted to leave just because he admitted defeat? Lin Ling sneered. He pointed with his right hand, and the terrifying giant sword shot into the sky, cutting that exceptional talent into pieces. This time, the exceptional talents of the 5th level were shocked. It had to be known that the 2 exceptional talents who attacked before were both shattering exceptional talents. However, before they could fight, they were directly killed by Lin Ling's sword. This Lin Ling was only at the 7th level of true divinity. This was just too heaven-defying. How could they know that even if Lin Ling hadn't comprehended the final layer of the Ashura sword formation, he already didn't fear shattering exceptional talents? There are still 2 people left. Yes. At this moment, Lin Ling's gaze finally fell on Zuo and Zuo. Their expressions were grave, extremely grave. Attack. His sword formation isn't weak. We must disturb him. Zuo finally understood why Lin Ling made his big brother feel apprehensive. It was because Lin Ling's strength was truly terrifying. Not only was his realm essence boundless, even his martial arts were so profound. Woo woo. After roaring, Zuo immediately played his flute, and a mysterious melody filled the air. At this moment, Lin Ling was walking forward, but his footsteps were forced to stop. He seemed to have been disturbed. Look at those swords. They're actually not controlled by him. Everyone also noticed this change because the swords that killed the hammer-wielding exceptional talent were still floating in the sky. They didn't move with Lin Ling at all. Lin Ling was controlling the sword formation, and sword formations needed to be activated. However, it was clear that Zhua Zhao's flute had affected Lin Ling's control over the sword formation. A very powerful sword, but so what if he can't control it? Lin Ling, I've seen through your weakness. Of course, the happiest person was Zhua Zhao. He seemed to be telling everyone that the one his big brother saved last time wasn't him, but Lin Ling. Time cold secret scissors. When Zhua Zhao's flute affected Lin Ling, another fragmentation exceptional talent also made his move. Moreover, his first move was his strongest technique. He also knew that ordinary techniques were useless against Lin Ling, so he activated the mysterious scissors. When the scissors appeared, a large area of ice and snow bloomed in the sky as if the world was frozen. A giant crystal scissors came from afar at Lin Ling. The sky seemed to have turned into paper and was easily cut open. This pair of scissors was clearly the same as Zhua Zhao's flute. It was extremely extraordinary and was an ultimate immortal treasure. This time, Lin Ling was in danger. This was because everyone could see that Lin Ling's sword formation was no longer under his control. Lin Ling, be careful. Fian immediately cried out, but Lin Ling ignored her in the sky. Instead, he walked towards the giant sword. Many exceptional talents shook their heads, thinking that Lin Ling was definitely unwilling, so he tried to control the sword formation again. Lin Ling's sword has more than 100% sword heart, but unfortunately, he can't use it. Everything is meaningless. If the sword is not unsheathed, what use is it? It's useless. My Gen Mountain Profound Flute specializes in breaking through external objects. As long as it's not your body, everything will be under my control. Lin Ling, feel regret and pain. Wait a bit, I'll let you know my power. Your sword formation will not only belong to me, but I will also control it. At this time, Zhua Zhao roared. His flute was indeed frightening. As long as it was an external object, he could actually control it. It could be considered heaven-defying. I'll kill him first. However, before Zhua Zhao could control Lin Ling's sword formation, the giant ice scissors in the sky had already arrived. Moreover, the scissors were already aiming at Lin Ling. With just a pinch, everything in this world would be cut apart. Chapter 2795. Controlling the Azura Sword. The fifth layer of the Azura Sword formation, 10,000 swords return to the heart. It doesn't mean that I can control more swords or that I'm stronger, but it means that I can control the Azura Sword at this moment. A faintly discernible voice suddenly rang out. Everyone watched in horror as Lin Ling's arm landed on the giant sword, and he actually lifted it up. One had to know that the sword was 1,000 li long and 100 li wide. It was formed from countless swords, but Lin Ling was actually holding such a sword? From afar, the scene was extremely spectacular. A small and thin figure was actually holding a sword that was 1,000 times larger than him. The sword even moved. A horizontal slash. Rumble. There was no complicated martial art, just a horizontal slash. However, the ice scissors were immediately cut in half, completely destroyed. Moreover, the sword didn't stop. It directly cut that exceptional talent who used the ice scissors into pieces. This is the Azura Sword. His footsteps changed. Lin Ling's gaze landed on Zhua Zhao's body. He carried the giant sword and walked forward step by step. At this moment, he was like an overlord. Zhua Zhao was still playing the flute, but the more he played, the more panicked he became. This was because the blue-robed youth in front of him wasn't affected at all. In other words, he was already affected and couldn't use the sword formation. But, what did it matter? If he couldn't use the sword formation, then he would use his own sword to kill. Azura sword. In particular, the giant sword on the blue-robed youth's shoulder caused Zhuo Zhao's lips to tremble. He even wanted to ask Lin Ling if it wasn't heavy to carry such a giant sword. As for the sword's power, Zhuo Zhao had seen it for himself. With a sword heart that exceeded 100%, none of the previous exceptional talents could stop that sword. Lin Ling's strength clearly exceeded his imagination. Tell me, did your big brother save you or me? Lin Ling's steps were steady, and his cold voice floated out. Last time, if it wasn't for Zhuo Zhao's big brother stopping them, Lin Ling and Zhuo Zhao would have fought again. At that time, Lin Ling said that Zhuo Zhao's big brother, Zhuo Hai, had saved Zhuo Zhao, but Zhuo Zhao didn't think so. Instead, he felt that his big brother had saved Lin Ling. Now, Lin Ling wanted to ask him who his big brother was saving. I'm not fighting anymore. Zhuo Zhao's eyes flickered. He knew that if he met force with force, it would be a strenuous and fruitless task for him. Zhuo Zhao is afraid of Lin Ling? The other exceptional talents in the distance were all shocked. Zhuo Zhao was the zither and flute duo, and his reputation among the fragmentation realm exceptional talents was not weak. However, such a figure was actually afraid of a newcomer, Lin Ling. Not fighting anymore? The giant sword in Lin Ling's hand moved, slashing at Zhuo Zhao. Are you crazy? I have the bloodline of the left minister. Zhuo Zhao's eyes widened. He did not expect Lin Ling to be so decisive, not giving him any face at all. Meanwhile, when that sword slashed over, Zhuo Zhao's face became as pale as paper. He activated his realm essence and grasped his flute, attempting to block that sword. Hong Long Long. His flute was indeed unordinary, actually blocking that sword. However, despite this, Zhuo Zhao was still struggling. He spat out a mouthful of blood and shouted angrily, Lin Ling, don't be too arrogant. If I fight with my life on the line, it is still unknown who will emerge victorious. Hong Long Long. However, what welcomed him was a second sword. Zhuo Zhao's eyes widened rigidly. Lin Ling did not say a single word, directly answering him with powerful strength. Kacha. Under the second sword, cracks appeared on his flute. You have a good big brother. Unfortunately, you have let your big brother down. Lin Ling's third sword hacked down crazily again. This time, Zhuo Zhao was completely terrified. He wanted to flee, but that sword was too big, as if it was the sword of Green Emperor. You promised my big brother that you wouldn't touch me. His voice was mixed with panic, and there was even a hint of begging for mercy. It seems that Zhuo Zhao's big brother, Zhuo Hai, did save him last time. Hearing that sentence, the people finally reacted. The irony was that Zhuo Zhao did not understand his big brother's painstaking efforts, and instead came to provoke Lin Ling again. Now that his big brother was not here, who could save him? As a martial artist, you have repeatedly asked your big brother for help. You don't have to cultivate on the path of martial arts. However, this time, Lin Ling clearly did not plan to let Zhuo Zhao go. If he held back, how could he face Chen Nan and the others? Therefore, this sword showed its sharpness, the giant sword that broke the world. The left Prime Minister's residence will not let you go. As the sword approached, Zhuo Zhao knew that he could not escape death. He gritted his teeth and made a blood oath. A ray of light shot into the sky and disappeared into the distance. Obviously, he had told the left Prime Minister's residence everything that had happened before he died. Unfortunately, he could not block that sword. Under that sword, Zhuo Zhao was cut into nothingness. Lin Ling stood in the sky, holding the giant sword, and said indifferently, I'll wait for them. He's dead. Zhuo Zhao could have entered the next level, but in the end, he interfered with Lin Ling and ended up with his soul scattered. Perhaps this is what they mean by, if you don't seek death, you won't die. Everyone inwardly shook their heads, moreover looking at Lin Ling with serious expressions. They finally knew that Lin Ling's strength was extremely great among exceptional talents. They had underestimated Lin Ling. Of course, they still found it hard to believe. After all, Lin Ling was the strongest first generation not long ago, but now he had entered the ranks of the first generation. Chen Nan, let's go. At this time, Lin Ling waved at Chen Nan on the ground. The two of them were still in shock, especially Fian. Her eyes were filled with worship. She thought to herself, perhaps that sword is Lin Ling's final trump card. However, it is indeed powerful. Lin Ling's strength had always been a mystery. Now, it had finally surfaced. Meanwhile, Lin Ling brought Chen Nan forward. He was actually a bit happy. This fourth level allowed him to benefit greatly. His strength had greatly increased. Wherever they passed, the surrounding exceptional talents were all silent. Right now, they no longer dared to carelessly provoke Lin Ling. If you want to enter the fourth level, each person has to hand over 100 Emperor Crystals. Right when everyone wanted to enter the next level, Lin Ling's voice suddenly drifted over. This time, the pupils of all the exceptional talents narrowed. They had to pay to enter the next level? Moreover, 100 Emperor Crystals, this was a bit too expensive, right? One had to understand that Emperor Crystals were the essence of divine crystals. A single piece of Emperor Crystal was priceless. This fourth level was opened by me, and I, Lin Ling, have never done anything that would cause me to lose out. That is why you have two choices. 1. Leave this place. 2. Pay up. Lin Ling said indifferently. Earlier, he was surrounded by the sword cloud, and none of these exceptional talents helped him. That was why he didn't give them any face. 100 Emperor Crystals, Lin Ling, aren't you robbing us? After a moment of silence, an exceptional talent who wasn't young frowned and said at this moment. Even though Lin Ling's strength made him feel restraining fear, Lin Ling's appetite was a bit too big, right? Hearing this, Lin Ling laughed. Am I not robbing you right now? Rumble. Chapter 2796. The Fifth Layer. Wait. That exceptional talent's eyes landed on that enormous sword, and he immediately waved his hand. That sword's power was something he had witnessed before. It could be said to be a sword that could cut vegetables and melons, and he had confidence that he couldn't block that sword. But 100 Emperor Crystals is too much. We can't take it out. The other exceptional talents also smiled bitterly. Lin Ling immediately smiled and said, if you don't have money, you can leave the fourth layer. No one will stop you. If you want to continue, then I'm sorry. This smile looked a bit amiable, but in everyone's eyes, it was like the smile of a demon. At this moment, they were filled with regret. They shouldn't have joined in on the fun and should have entered the next layer earlier. I don't have much time, so if you all are still hesitating, then I'll make the decision for you all. Lin Ling said again, making those exceptional talents' expressions change greatly. Without another word, they immediately handed over their Emperor Crystals. Of course, during this process, their hearts felt as if they were dripping blood. Thank you. Lin Ling's smile became even wider. With a wave of his hand, he brought Chen Nan and the others into the next layer. For him, this Copper Sparrow Terrace was not a bad place, allowing him to gain quite a bit. He hoped that the next layer would also have good gains. Meanwhile, when they saw Lin Ling leave in a carefree manner, those exceptional talents all began to gnash their teeth in anger. On the fifth layer, after passing through the dusky corridor, an enormous world of wind appeared before everyone's eyes. The roiling astral winds seemed to surround the universe, making the exceptional talents' expressions become a bit more serious. Lin Ling, this fifth layer, I won't leave. Chen Nan and Fian thought for a bit, and then immediately said. They sensed that those winds had existed for countless years, perhaps even since the beginning of the universe. They couldn't stop those winds. Of course, the other exceptional talents were like this as well. This Copper Sparrow Terrace was indeed becoming more and more difficult. Unless one has strength several times greater than normal, who can walk out of this layer? It seems like we have to give up, sigh. As exceptional talents, and even shattering exceptional talents, how can we give up so easily? The exceptional talents all had their own thoughts. A few exceptional talents who were confident in themselves took a step forward, entering the 5th layer. Rumble. However, there was no shortcut to the 5th level at all. Unless one could block the onslaught of the strong winds, one would die without a doubt. Those confident exceptional talents, as soon as they entered, immediately released cries of alarm. Their true deity martial souls were actually stirred up by the wind. Their entire bodies also began to distort endlessly. Chapter 2797. Tianwu Prince. However, the 81st Prince is not here. Could it be that he went to the next level? However, there were also people who exclaimed. The 81st Prince was the most mysterious existence among the first generation. Moreover, he was also one of the Azure Emperor's descendants. Rumor has it that he was only 20 years old this year, but his strength was already unfathomable. There were even rumors that he was one of the 9 heavens of the Azure province. However, outside of a few individuals, the rest of the 9 heavens were all mysterious characters, so no one could be sure. However, if the 81st Prince was one of the 9 heavens of the Azure province, then this was absolutely shocking news. This was because a 20-year-old was one of the 9 heavens of the Azure province. This was an earth-shattering genius in the 9 provinces. After all of the first generation had cultivated for 2,000 years. Tantai Bingdai is also not here. Chen Nan's eyes swept through the entire 5th level, but he couldn't find Tantai Bingdai. The 5th level clearly had a better view than the 4th level, and the area was also much smaller. Of course, without the mysterious astral winds, this level was actually very easy to traverse. Senior Sister Tantai Bingdai is the first-generation representative of the Imperial Court. Could it be that she is also hiding some powerful methods? Fian curiously asked. Even though they knew each other, it didn't mean that they were familiar with each other's methods and origins. Not to mention anything else, just Lin Ling was an example. Even though Lin Ling was also in first generation, his strength was beyond everyone's imagination. This is great. If Tantai Bingdai can reach the end, then our Imperial Court will win. Chen Nan couldn't help but become excited. If the Imperial Court won, then not only would their reputation rise, but they would also obtain great rewards. That's right. Fian also became excited. In your dreams, Tantai Bingdai is not here. Maybe she is already dead, so this Azure Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal can only be taken by our Blue Flame Army. Your Blue Flame Army is too naive, it should have been taken by our Imperial Dragon Court. Speaking of the Azure Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal, the first generation outside the door didn't give in because they heard that if a giant obtained the seal, then they would be able to obtain a part of the Emperor's will. No one wanted to miss this mysterious power. Wait and see. Chen Nan didn't compete with them and replied indifferently. Everyone's eyes quickly landed on the 5th floor. Right now, the experts of the 5th floor were still advancing, as if they also sensed the exceptional talents outside the Great Gate. Who killed Zhua Xiao from the left minister's residence? At this time, a roar unexpectedly passed through the astral winds, landing in the ears of the exceptional talents outside the Great Gate. Tian Wuxi. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they stared at a bald young man. This young man was also dressed like a scholar, but because he was bald, he was somewhat dazzling, but also seemed wise and mighty. Most importantly, this Tian Wuxi was ranked 4th among all of the exceptional talents. It was rumored that this exceptional talent had even defeated the Great Qing Divine Dynasty's divine guards. He was extremely powerful. One had to know, divine guards were existences that surpassed the true God realm. They were existences that the true God realm could only look up to. Lin Ling, who is it? Tian Wuxi stopped and looked at the door coldly. He obviously knew who killed Lin Ling. Before Zhua Xiao died, he used a secret technique to inform the left minister's residence. Although Tian Wuxi wasn't of the Zhua clan's bloodline, he was still a member of the left minister's residence. He had the responsibility to protect this noble bloodline. Lin Ling. Hearing this, the faces of the exceptional talents on the 5th floor changed. Several of them recognized Lin Ling. They were none other than Xian Linglong and Meng Lu. This guy really wants to see the world plunged into chaos. Meng Lu's cultivation didn't seem high, but he was able to reach the 5th floor. From this, it could be seen that he was hiding a powerful trump card. As for Xian Linglong, she was the daughter of the Black Warrior house. The Black Warrior was a divine beast with powerful defense, thus she wasn't eliminated. However, at this moment, they were worried about Lin Ling. Because when they were heading to the 5th floor, they had fought with Tian Wuxi. In the end, the two of them had to work together to stop Tian Wuxi, thus they knew how terrifying this guy was. Lin Ling is from the imperial court, Xian Linglong. Who do you think he is? Tian Wuxi bellowed, veins popping out on his bald head. Why should I say? Although Xian Linglong was wary of Tian Wuxi, she had her own pride and dignity, thus she did not answer. You and he are both from the imperial court, you must know. I insist that you say it. Tian Wuxi's voice deepened. Like a giant, he walked towards Xian Linglong and Meng Lu. Although his pace wasn't fast, his resistance to the 5th floor's astral wind was extremely strong. And the reason was that he had a grade 2 divine physique, the floating Buddha Brilliance Pagoda. This was a talent that could stabilize the wind. Not to mention a mere astral wind, even the 7 emotions and 6 desires couldn't shake him. Tian Wuxi, you're only relying on your longer cultivation time. Otherwise, do you think I'm afraid of you? Seeing this, Meng Lu also hurried towards Xian Linglong. In truth, although he was currently weaker than Tian Wuxi, he was confident that given enough time, he would surpass Tian Wuxi sooner or later. Because he was from the 9 prefectures 10 vicious. I believe you, but that's in the future. Tian Wuxi's pace was steady. When he walked towards Xian Linglong and Meng Lu, his eyes were also looking at the door. Because Lin Ling had just arrived from the 4th floor, he must be hiding among the exceptional talents outside the door. It was just that he didn't know who he was. Tian Wuxi, don't be reckless. However, at this moment, a cold voice suddenly sounded, as if it wanted to persuade Tian Wuxi. Zhua Hai, Zhua Shao is your brother. Now that he's dead, you're actually helping an outsider. Tian Wuxi immediately stopped. A Buddha image appeared on his forehead, making him look like a Vajra, like a Buddha. He turned around and walked towards Zhua Hai. Zhua Hai was resisting the astral wind and used his zither. Now that Tian Wuxi was leaving, he immediately frowned. In fact, he was also surprised that Lin Ling killed Zhua Shao. However, he was sure that his brother was the one who provoked Lin Ling because he could see that Lin Ling was not someone who would go back on his words. Since he promised not to touch Zhua Shao, he would definitely not touch him. Of course, his brother's death made him very angry, but he knew that it was his brother who broke the promise first, so he could only helplessly do nothing. The most important thing was that he felt that provoking Lin Ling would result in a terrible outcome. I'm not helping an outsider, I'm helping reason. Zhua Hai said again. However, at this time, a golden palm passed through the astral wind and grabbed at him. Wherever it passed, the surging astral wind was shattered. This Tian Wuxi's strength was so terrifying. Tian Wuxi, are you crazy? Seeing Tian Wuxi attacking him, Zhua Hai was shocked. His hands immediately moved and played the zither music of the 5 mountains and rivers. Suddenly, a strange change occurred. Surging mountains and rivers appeared in the 5th floor along with divine weapons from 10,000 worlds. Chapter 2798. You want to kill me? So powerful. Both of their talents aren't weak. Zhua Hai's zither should be the Mountain Sea zither, forged by a senior from Scarlet Province. The exceptional talents outside the gate all said with serious expressions. They finally witnessed the strength of the most powerful exceptional talents. These exceptional talents, placed below Five-Ring City, were all godlike existences. Hong Long Long. However, that Tian Wuzi's strength was clearly stronger. With a grab of his large hand, he actually crushed mountains and rivers. Thousands of soldiers and horses were all grasped within his palm. The enormous palm was like the palm of a Buddha. His 5 fingers suppressed heaven and earth. The endless army could only run within his palm, unable to escape from his 5-finger mountain. Pung! That Buddha palm suddenly clenched, and all of the soldiers and horses were turned into ashes. Ultimate martial path, Buddha domain, and one with a complete Buddha heart. At this moment, Zhuahai's face immediately paled. However, before he could say anything, a palm grabbed him, and with a sudden clench, he spat out a mouthful of blood. As the descendant of Lord Left Minister, you shouldn't help an outsider, and even more so shouldn't help reason. Lord Left Minister is the heavenly law. Today, I won't kill you, but you should take care of yourself. That Tian Wuzi was extremely domineering. With a wave of his hand, Zhuahai shot towards the gate like a shooting star. Along the way, he was twisted into a bloody mess by the mysterious astral winds. If it wasn't for the fact that Tian Wuzi didn't want to kill him, Zhuahai might have been twisted to death by the astral winds. Pung! When Zhuahai smashed into the gate, all of the exceptional talents' minds were shaken. It was because Zhuahai was able to reach the 5th layer, so his strength was unquestionable. He was even stronger than his younger brothers Wuxiao, yet he couldn't stop Tian Wuzi's attack. This Tian Wuzi was too terrifying. Tian Wuzi has cultivated for 3,000 years, one of the longest among the exceptional talents. It is rumored that in the last 1,000 years, he comprehended the Buddha heart under the screen of true Buddha, and in the end, he cultivated the Vajra divine palm. Indeed, in terms of age, he is above us. However, this person's temperament is like Vajra, too tough. Those exceptional talents spoke one after another, feeling great reverence towards Tian Wuzi. Meanwhile, Meng Lu and Xian Linglong's expressions changed greatly. If Tian Wuzi took action against them, Tian Wuzi definitely wouldn't show mercy. I am indebted to the Lord Left Minister. His bloodline cannot die in vain. Tian Wuzi once again walked towards Xian Linglong and the others. His imposing manner made Meng Lu and the others narrow their eyes. They knew that a battle to the death was inevitable. Moreover, although they had fought with Tian Wuzi before, Tian Wuzi didn't want to waste time. His main target was the 81st prince, so it was only a warm-up. If they really fought to the death, they might not be Tian Wuzi's match even if they worked together. What an unlucky fellow. The other 2 most powerful exceptional talents on the 5th floor sneered. They were respectively Chen Mo and a 3-mark heavenly monarch. They didn't care about this matter at all. In their eyes, all of the exceptional talents were ants. Only the 81st prince and Tian Wuzi were the true exceptional talents. Wait, I know who Lin Ling is. But at this time, a clear voice suddenly rang out, causing Tian Wuzi to stop in his tracks. He looked around and discovered that the one who had spoken was a delicate girl. This girl also came to the 5th floor not long ago. However, she was very weak and didn't have any chance of passing through the 5th floor, so no one paid attention to her. Many exceptional talents even knew that this girl might die under the mysterious astral winds. And she was Tian Luochen. Tian Luochen, you. Outside the door, Chen Nan and the others immediately cursed. Tian Luochen, if it wasn't for Lin Ling's help, she would have died on the 1st floor. But now, she actually betrayed Lin Ling? Speak. Tian Wuzi let out a cold snort. I can use my boundary essence to draw his appearance, but if I tell you, you have to agree to 2 conditions. At this moment, Tian Luochen's face was extremely pale. She was risking her life to resist the astral winds. She already knew that these astral winds weren't something she could withstand. In another incense stick of time, she would die. That was why she made these conditions. Speak. I, Tian Wuzi, am a man of my word. Although Tian Wuzi was angry, because he had comprehended a Buddhist heart, he wasn't someone who would go back on his word. The first condition is to release Xian Linglong and the others. The second condition is to take me away from here. Tian Luochen immediately said. All right, I promise you. Tian Wuzi immediately nodded. Meanwhile, Tian Luochen immediately used the remaining realm essence to draw Lin Ling's appearance. She was also a powerful exceptional talent, so her control over realm essence had reached perfection. That was why the drawing was so vivid and lifelike. Buddha's eye. Tian Wuzi stared at the portrait and let out a low roar. The golden Buddha image on his forehead suddenly opened its eyes. A terrifying thing happened. His Buddha's eye seemed to be able to see through 10,000 worlds. It actually passed through the astral winds of the 5th floor and swept through Qing province, searching for Lin Ling in the boundless world. What terrifying methods! Not being suppressed by the universe's primal chaos, this is a true expert. Seeing this, the expressions of the exceptional talents outside the door changed greatly. But soon after, their pupils constricted because Lin Ling was currently on the 5th floor. With Tian Wuzi's methods, he wouldn't be able to easily find Lin Ling. This was indeed the case. I've found you, shameless junior. Tian Wuzi seemed to have discovered something. He punched out and actually caused the astral winds to flow backwards, rolling towards a corner. Rumble. At this moment, Lin Ling didn't know what was happening on the 5th floor. Although the area here wasn't large, there were a lot of astral winds, so he had been moving with the wind. However, at this moment, a sense of danger surged into his heart, causing his expression to change slightly. For the first time, he broke free from the astral wind's control and shot towards the other side with the 7 realms speed. Bang! 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 Just as he moved, the Buddha's fist arrived and smashed the astral winds into pieces. Tian Wuzi's strength was indeed terrifying. Lin Ling also appeared and frowned as he looked at Tian Wuzi. At the same time, Xian Linglong, Meng Lu, and the others also looked at Lin Ling because they didn't know that Lin Ling had reached the 5th floor. Junior brother Lin Ling, I'm sorry. Tian Luochen was the same, but she immediately apologized because if she didn't ask for Tian Wuzi's help, she would have died. What's going on? Lin Ling's body moved with the wind, but his voice was cold. No one would be in a good mood if they were suddenly attacked. Lin Ling, Tian Wuzi knows that you killed Zhua Xiao. He's the 4th strongest among the 1st generation, so he wants to kill you. He also wanted to attack us before, but that woman stopped him. Meng Lu hurriedly explained what had happened before, allowing Lin Ling to understand. However, he also looked at Tian Luochen. He didn't expect her to betray him. One had to know that apart from the 1st floor, Tian Luochen couldn't have reached the 4th floor without Lin Ling's help. This woman seemed to have a strong will, but she was clearly a heartless person. Lin Ling, don't blame me. I said that I can't give up halfway. I can only go further and further. Tian Luochen knew that his plot had been exposed, so his expression became cold. I don't blame you. Chapter 2799. Fighting Tian Wuzi. That's right. Yes. Tian Wuzi's face was cold as if he was talking about something normal. Tian Wuzi, don't be rash. Lin Ling and I have already reached an agreement. We will not interfere with each other's business. Therefore, Lin Ling definitely did not kill my brother on purpose. Yes. But at this moment, Zhua Hai also spoke from outside the door. He looked at Lin Ling and said, Lin Ling, I just want to ask, did my brother start the fight? If he didn't attack, you wouldn't have killed him, right? Yes. Although Zhua Hai hated Lin Ling, it was undeniable that he had strong principles. Zhua Hai was the blood of the left minister. He was pleading for mercy for Lin Ling. Perhaps, Tian Wuzi did not kill Lin Ling because of Zhua Hai. Yes. Seeing this, Xian Linglong said in a low voice. However, Meng Lu shook his head. Lin Ling is a proud person. He will not lower his voice for the sake of his life. Therefore, not only will Lin Ling admit to it, he might even take the initiative to kill Zhua Xiao. Yes. Then won't he be killed by Tian Wuzi? Xian Linglong thought about Lin Ling's character and felt the same way. Lin Ling was a person who could be persuaded by reason but not cowed by force. The more you threatened him, the more he would resist. That might not be the case. I have a feeling that Lin Ling is the strongest among the first generation of the imperial court. Meng Lu frowned and said. His words made Xian Linglong's pupils shrink. She was speechless for a moment. She knew that Lin Ling was strong, but he was the strongest among the first generation of the imperial court. This was even more terrifying than she had imagined. Of course, Xian Linglong did not believe Meng Lu's words. However, their guesses were confirmed. Lin Ling would not lower his voice for the sake of his life. At this moment, Lin Ling said indifferently, although he made the first move, that guy also wanted to kill me, so even if he didn't make a move, I wouldn't let him go if I had the chance. When these words fell, Zhua Hai's pupils immediately narrowed. The exceptional talents outside the door were also speechless. Zhua Hai was clearly pleading for Lin Ling, but who would have thought that Lin Ling wouldn't accept it at all? This time, Zhua Hai clearly had nothing to say. Zhua Hai, shut up. As a member of the left minister's residence, how dare you plead for mercy for others? When we get back, the left minister will definitely punish you. Now, you just stay there and watch. I will avenge your brother. Tian Wuzi didn't want to waste any more time. Stepping forward, a powerful and domineering aura gushed out. If the Dharma of Buddhism is boundless, Vajra will subdue demons. Alas! When he saw this, Zhua Hai could only release a light sigh. Meanwhile, the exceptional talents at his side all began to look forward to it. Tian Wuzi was the fourth strongest among the exceptional talents, and Lin Ling's strength could not be underestimated either. When the two of them clashed, who knew what kind of sparks would blossom? Of course, most people believed that Lin Ling would definitely die. Golden Tiger Great Evolution Fist. His aura condensed to the extreme, and Tian Wuzi punched out. Golden light shone and an ancient pagoda descended. It actually shattered the surrounding astral winds. Only a lunatic like Tian Wuzi dared to fight on the 5th floor. The other exceptional talents, let alone fight, even walking was extremely difficult. Rolling fists mixed with a domineering aura rushed towards Lin Ling. Lin Ling's eyes instantly flashed. Tian Wuzi was very strong. He was at the peak of the true immortal realm, and he had a second-grade divine body. Moreover, his martial arts weren't weak either. This kind of genius who had both talent and martial arts in one body was undoubtedly the most difficult to deal with. If Zhua Xiao was compared to Tian Wuzi before, he probably wouldn't be able to block a single move from the latter. Melody of the Wind. Without much hesitation, Lin Ling erupted with the speed of 7 realms and dodged that fist. However, that fist was terrifying, and it still cut off a strand of his hair. That strand of hair also fluttered to the ground. Rumble. As for where Lin Ling was standing before, there was a huge conical astral wind there. At this moment it was blasted apart by that fist, turning into countless tiny astral winds that shot out in all directions. What a powerful attack! Seeing this, the exceptional talents outside the door all changed their expressions. The 5th floor didn't seem to have any effect on Tian Wuzi. In the left minister's residence, you can kill anyone, but the Zhua bloodline is not something you can touch. If you touch a single hair, you will regret it for the rest of your life. Although that fist didn't kill Lin Ling, Tian Wuzi knew that Lin Ling couldn't escape even if he grew wings. His words were cold and emotionless. If it was anyone else here, they would have already lost their will to fight and would only want to run away. However, how could Lin Ling be an ordinary person? Before, it was Tian Wuzi who attacked, but now it was his turn. Lin Ling didn't wait for his figure to stop. With a clap of his right hand, Azura swords shot out, welcoming the astral wind and rushing towards Tian Wuzi. Crackle. Once the Azura swords array appeared, it was like a sea of swords. What? Tian Wuzi thought that Lin Ling was only so-so, but who knew that Lin Ling was also so strong? Seeing the 10,000 swords shooting at him, he immediately activated his talent, causing the ancient pagoda to fall from the sky and protect him like a pagoda. Ding ding dang dang. The 10,000 swords struck the ancient pagoda, producing crisp sounds, but they couldn't shake the pagoda. Even so, Tian Wuzi's movements were still a step too slow. His sleeve was cut off and fell to the ground. At this moment, the 5th floor was silent. Everyone looked at the sleeve on the ground, then looked at the strand of hair that was cut off by Lin Ling. Each and every one of them were shocked. They had never imagined that Lin Ling would be able to retaliate in kind against Tian Wuzi. You're only at the 7th level of True God Realm, but you've comprehended the sword heart. Tian Wuzi roared. He seemed to be furious because this was the first time he was injured by a junior after becoming an exceptional talent. Most importantly, the other party wasn't ranked in the top 10. He probably wasn't even a fragmentation realm exceptional talent. Therefore, this was a great humiliation to him. First seal, floating Buddha Brilliance Pagoda. Tian Wuzi unsealed his true god martial spirit, doubling his strength. He could fight against a martial immortal realm expert. Behind him, a shining pagoda appeared, making him look like a Vajra. It was clear that he couldn't kill Lin Ling with martial arts, so he could only use his powerful talent. As for true geniuses, most of them were people with outstanding martial arts and talent. However, it was clear that most of the geniuses were more talented than others. Vajra Divine Palm. A palm that was even larger and more glorious than before slammed towards Lin Ling. Rumble. That palm shot out from the ground like a siege chariot. It sucked in large amounts of astral winds from the 5th floor, forming a wind Buddha palm that had the power to destroy everything. Some exceptional talents near Tian Wuzi didn't even have the chance to make a sound before they were crushed to pieces. These exceptional talents died pitifully. They were only watching the battle, yet they were implicated. They probably died until they didn't even have tears left to cry. When this palm appeared, Meng Lu, Xian Linglong, and the others' expressions became serious. That palm, among exceptional talents, was definitely an existence that could be considered a king among exceptional talents. Chapter 2800. An all-out battle. At this moment, Lin Ling's eyes were sharp and cold like a swordsman. He reached out with his right hand and a strange thing happened. The 10,000 swords shot towards him and turned into a huge ancient sword. Lin Ling held it in his hand and then slashed towards Tian Wuzi's palm. Rumble. The collision this time was like an avalanche. With Lin Ling and Tian Wuzi as the center, world essence gushed out in all directions. The astral winds on the 5th floor were affected by the two of them. Lin Ling can fight against Tian Wuzi head-on. Sigh. Tian Wuzi used the first seal and his innate divine physique is of the 2nd rank. Sigh. Did you see that? Tian Wuzi's innate divine physique had no effect on Lin Ling. Moreover, a huge mouth appeared behind Lin Ling as if it had swallowed a lot of world essence. Sigh. Seeing Lin Ling block Tian Wuzi's attack, the crowd was shocked again. After all, Tian Wuzi was not like Sua Shao. Interesting, looks like you are an underestimated exceptional talent. Sigh. At this moment, Tian Wuzi also knew how powerful Lin Ling was. The irony was that he didn't know this exceptional talent. Of course, he was sure that other than him, the 81st Prince and the others definitely didn't know Lin Ling. You are pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, right? Be careful not to turn into a real pig in front of me. Sigh. Tian Wuzi maintained his attacking posture, but the golden light on his body became more and more resplendent. It was as if he had turned into a real diamond with a natural aura. He didn't believe that Lin Ling's sword was this powerful. This time, he had clearly fused martial arts into his innate talents, increasing the power once again. At this moment, Lin Ling was holding the huge sword in his hand like a supreme sword god. However, his sword was also emitting a buzzing sound, and his expression was extremely serious. In the next moment, his body moved and disappeared from the spot along with the melody of the wind. Lin Ling can't stop it anymore, he is retreating. When they saw this, many people's minds relaxed, as if they were looking forward to this scene. Perhaps they didn't want to see an up-and-coming youngster instantly reach the 4th rank of the most powerful exceptional talents. Even Meng Lu let out a light sigh. His thoughts were the same. He didn't want Lin Ling to be so much stronger than himself. Huh, is that all you've got? Noticing that Lin Ling had retreated, Tian Wuxi smiled contemptuously. You're thinking too much. However, if we continue to fight, then the person you promised to protect will definitely be killed by the astral winds. However, after Lin Ling stopped in his tracks, he said faintly. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was puzzled. It's falling dust. Chen Nan suddenly shouted. He understood what Lin Ling meant. Because skyfall dust was being enveloped by the strong winds on the 5th level. Even though she was fighting desperately, it was clearly useless. So, it was impossible for her to escape the fate of being minced apart by the strong winds. Previously, Tian Wuxi had promised skyfall dust that he would protect her, but because he clashed with Lin Ling, he didn't fulfill his promise. Lin Ling didn't seem to want skyfall dust to affect their battle, so he retreated at the crucial moment. This guy actually has the mood to pay attention to others when he's clashing with Tian Wuxi. The other exceptional talents also understood what Lin Ling meant, and they were even more shocked. This Lin Ling, how prideful was he? Even if he had to fight with the 4th strongest exceptional talent, he wouldn't be willing to take any advantage. This was a true martial artist of our generation. You. At this moment, Tian Wuxi also sensed Lin Ling's thoughts. His expression kept changing. In the beginning, he hated Lin Ling very much and even disdained Lin Ling. But now, his view of Lin Ling had changed. This was because Lin Ling was a very principled and arrogant guy. Even though I'm a decisive person, I have the heart of Buddha, so I'm not someone who goes back on my words. Lin Ling, I owe you a favor. Tian Wuxi walked toward skyfall dust. He wanted to protect her because this was his promise from before. Those who had comprehended the heart of Buddha could subdue demons and devils, but they would definitely do what they said. Otherwise, they wouldn't be Vajrabuddhas, but devils. Thank you. At this moment, skyfall dust looked at Tian Wuxi and relaxed. Don't thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank him. He was the one who reminded me. Tian Wuxi coldly replied, causing skyfall dust to quickly look at Lin Ling. At this moment, she suddenly felt incomparably guilty. Lin Ling had helped her on the 1st, 4th, and 5th levels. Unfortunately, in order to survive, she had betrayed Lin Ling. You don't need to thank me. The reason I reminded Tian Wuxi was because, first, I didn't want him to feel burdened by fighting me. I wanted him to go all out. Second, I wanted you to see the difference between my help and Tian Wuxi's. However, Lin Ling coldly replied. No matter what, I still have to thank you. You also know that my goal is to go higher and further, so I didn't intentionally betray you. Skyfall Dust explained. Everything she did was to become stronger, but when it came to choosing, she clearly chose Tian Wuxi to help her. You will understand. Lin Ling didn't explain anything and looked at Tian Wuxi. I'll let you have one move. Tian Wuxi originally wanted to protect Skyfall Dust, but at this moment, an exceptional genius came over to protect him, so he also walked out. The price for letting me have one move is very great. Lin Ling calmly replied. Truly a formidable opponent. If you didn't kill Zhou Shao, I would want to meet you even more. Chapter 2801. The second seal of the true God martial spirit was unsealed. Everyone heard a deafening sound and saw a giant appear on the 5th floor. It was Tian Wuxi. His body was like a pagoda and his aura was terrifying. However, a huge sword was slashing towards him. At first, it couldn't move Tian Wuxi at all. However, just as they were about to get lucky, the sword suddenly changed. The sword suddenly changed. It became even more domineering and majestic. Under the sword, Tian Wuxi was sent flying. Golden blood gushed out from his chest and landed on the ground. It actually turned into golden Buddhist scriptures. Rumble. Tian Wuxi was sent flying, breaking through a large amount of astral wind on the 5th floor. Tian Wuxi couldn't withstand this sword. I'm sorry, but other than the 81st prince, there's one more person, and that's me. Almost at the same time, Lin Ling's voice floated out. This time, not only was it shocking, even Tian Wuxi, Zhua Hai, Chen Mo, and the others were shocked. He's so strong. Zhua Hai's face was pale. Last time, he already felt that Lin Ling couldn't be underestimated. Today, he knew that his intuition wasn't wrong. Moreover, he actually pleaded for Lin Ling. In fact, Lin Ling didn't need to plead at all. They were all wrong. If Tian Wuxi wanted to kill Lin Ling wasn't completely powerless. Amazing, amazing. Master Tian Wuxi took a few steps back and finally managed to stop himself from charging forward. He spoke with a serious tone. He thought that Lin Ling's strongest point was that sword, but now, he realized that Lin Ling's boundary essence and talent weren't weak at all. Thank you for the compliment. Lin Ling stood there with his sword in hand and replied indifferently. You have two great divine bodies, and both of them have great origins. No wonder you're not afraid of my divine body. Moreover, you have a sword heart that exceeds 100% and cultivated some kind of secret technique to increase your boundary essence. You're the most terrifying genius I've ever seen who can fight above their level. Tian Wuxi said again. Cut the flattery. In fact, I also want to see your full strength. Lin Ling calmly said. The reason he reminded Tian Wuxi to help Tian Luochen was because he didn't want to take advantage of Tian Wuxi. He wanted to fight Tian Wuxi with his full strength and see his limits. As you wish. Tian Wuxi also knew that if he didn't go all out, he wouldn't be able to beat Lin Ling. Without the heart, without the heart, without the heart, without the 6 dust and 10,000 laws, it is indestructible. Tian Wuxi muttered, as if he was speaking Buddhist words. Wave after wave of powerful auras immediately pervaded the air. Golden light shone resplendently, shooting in all directions like needles. Not far out, an exceptional talent immediately released a cry of pain, because when the radiance landed on his body, he was actually pierced full of holes. Unfortunately, after the pain, he was immediately minced into pieces by the strong winds of the 5th level. This is the Vajra subduing demon's form. However, the exceptional talents outside didn't pay him any attention, instead staring at Master Tianwu. This was because a gigantic Vajra Dharma idol had appeared behind Tian Wuxi, each of them exuding an aura without being angry. Moreover, a Vajra scepter had also appeared in Tian Wuxi's hand. Tian Wuxi should have undone the second seal of the true divinity martial spirit. Someone said with a serious voice. It was a 3 marks heavenly monarch. He knew just how terrifying the current Tian Wuxi was. The true divinity realm was the most powerful cultivation realm. Together with his innate talent that surpassed other exceptional talents, as well as his Buddhist heart, this was precisely Tian Wuxi. However, what was terrifying was that Tian Wuxi was even able to unseal the second seal of the true divinity martial spirit. This was strengthening on top of the strong. It seems like after comprehending the Buddha for 1,000 years, he finally unsealed the second seal of the true divinity martial spirit. True divinity martial gods who can unseal the first seal are all number 1s under green provinces in 9 great heavens. The second seal, TSK, among exceptional talents, who else could it be other than him? Perhaps Tian Wuxi also has a chance to become the Green Emperor, because he is also the only exceptional talent with the second seal among the second-grade divine bodies. The exceptional talents in the surroundings spoke one after another, their eyes only filled with worship and fanaticism. In reality, among exceptional talents, there were people who unsealed the second seal of the true divinity martial spirit, but their innate talents weren't high, so the power they brought wasn't great. Everyone knew that the greater one's innate talent, the harder it was to unseal, but the power would also be greater. Tian Wuxi was clearly one of the best. Vajra subdues demons. Ignoring the voices around him, Tian Wuxi held the Vajra pestle in his hand and shot it at Lin Ling with a speed exceeding 6 realms. The golden Vajra pestle exploded with a surging aura, as if it wanted to suppress Lin Ling like a demon. Seeing this, Xian Linglong and Meng Lu both secretly broke out in cold sweat for Lin Ling. At this moment, they were very conflicted. They hoped that Lin Ling would become stronger, but they also hoped that Lin Ling would be defeated. However, they couldn't deny that they were worried about Lin Ling. Lin Ling's world essence has always been a mystery. However, in the end, he isn't at the peak of the true divinity realm, so using cultivation methods to increase his world essence is illusory and can only be used for a short period of time. Now that he is facing Tian Wuxi, who truly has an enormous amount of Buddha energy, his world essence can't display its power. Tian Wuxi's Vajra pestle, I'm afraid even martial immortals can't block it. The other side of Buddha is demon. Tian Wuxi's 1,000 years of enlightenment is not below the Buddha Lord, but rather below the demon Lord. Xian Linglong and Meng Lu said one after another. Especially Meng Lu, he seemed to have figured out Tian Wuxi's origin. However, what terrified them was that Lin Ling didn't move in the face of that huge Vajra pestle. He stood there like a pine tree, his long robe fluttering in the wind. He slowly raised his right hand and raised that huge ancient sword. On the sword's body, surging flames burned. Lin Ling, could it be that he wants to meet force with force? Facing Tian Wuxi, who has unsealed the second seal, isn't he courting death? His realm is inferior to Tian Wuxi's, his true divinity martial spirit is inferior, and he hasn't unsealed it either. How can Lin Ling fight? I think he's dead for sure. That sword will definitely shatter. Lin Ling's action undoubtedly shocked all the exceptional talents. Moreover, all of them shook their heads. However, in the next moment, everyone's voices disappeared. Because Lin Ling's sword and the Vajra pestle collided, creating a terrifying shockwave. However, Lin Ling's sword didn't break. With his cultivation of the 7th true divinity realm, he was actually able to block Tian Wuxi's attack. Moreover, this was the second seal. What's more, Lin Ling blocked it cleanly. All of this exceeded everyone's logic. Because that was a pestle that even martial immortals couldn't block. A bit powerful, but your boundary essence is raised by a secret technique. It definitely won't last long. Bang! Even Tian Wuxi was shocked. This Lin Ling was getting stronger and stronger. However, he was still confident. Vajra demon subduing. Bang! He roared, increasing the power of the Vajra pestle in his hand. 18 Vajras appeared around him. Each of the Vajras glared at Lin Ling as if they wanted to use their gazes to suppress Lin Ling. However, under the suppression of this terrifying Vajra pestle, Lin Ling's sword was firmly unsheathed. Even Lin Ling's figure didn't retreat at all. Impossible. Vajra worship Buddha. Roar. Tian Wuxi roared again. A pagoda appeared between his brows. Rumble. The 5th level began to tremble as if it was about to shatter. However, Lin Ling was still as unmoving as a mountain. Lightning power. Thunder. Without the protection of others, skyfall dust could not withstand the astral winds of the 5th level. Moreover, this was because Lin Ling had cut through the astral winds, so the winds were still brewing. Otherwise, skyfall dust would have died a long time ago. You walk your own path. Lin Ling's indifferent voice drifted through the wind, making Skyfall Dust powerlessly sit on the ground. There was only a trace of regret in her eyes. Lin Ling had helped her on the 1st, 4th, and even the 5th level. Unfortunately, she wanted to go higher and chose to leave Lin Ling. Now, without Lin Ling, she really could not do anything. Junior brother Lin Ling, no. Help me. Everyone, help me. Skyfall Dust cried and begged for everyone's help. Unfortunately, everyone only sneered at her. Not to mention whether or not they could help, even if they could, they wouldn't help. Skyfall Dust was so confident, so formidable, then she should walk her own path. What was the point of begging others? Junior brother Lin Ling, I was wrong. Skyfall Dust continuously kowtowed in pain. However, this time, the junior brother who had helped her in the past had already disappeared without a trace. What welcomed her was a vicious astral wind that came from the universe. This was the first wind of the universe's primal chaos. The wind blew past. Skyfall Dust turned into nothingness. She wanted to go higher, but relying on herself was impossible. That was why she could only rely on others. Unfortunately, she had let down someone who had helped her. How lamentable. In this world, martial artists use all kinds of methods to become stronger, yet Skyfall Dust chose the wrong path. When they saw this, many exceptional talents sighed and shook their heads. The greatest difference between them and Skyfall Dust was that they knew their own limits. Lin Ling has passed the 5th level. However, soon after, someone spoke with a grave voice. This time, outside the gate and the 5th level, it instantly became deathly silent. The world beyond the 5th level was the world of heaven's favored children. It meant that there was a chance to touch the Green Emperor's jade seal. In the beginning, everyone was guessing who would reach that world. Some guessed it would be Chen Mo, some guessed it would be Tian Wuzi, and even more people thought it would be the 81st prince. However, no one expected that Lin Ling would also be among the people who entered the next world. Perhaps he will represent the imperial court to seize the Green Emperor's jade seal. Xian Linglong and Meng Lu suddenly became excited, their emotions surging. First, if Lin Ling obtained the Green Emperor's jade seal, they would also obtain benefits. Second, this would also bring glory to the imperial court. This was beneficial to them, so they were very excited. Someone from our imperial court has entered the next level. Outside the gate, Chen Nandu and Fian also shouted, making the surrounding exceptional talents silent. They felt as if they were dreaming. However, Lin Ling did not know about their excitement because he had already walked out of the 5th level and appeared in the long corridor. After he smiled, he took out the Emperor crystals and refined them while walking forward. This trip to the Copper Sparrow Pavilion was a great harvest for him. And this time, he extorted a lot of Emperor crystals, which was enough to greatly improve his 1st, 2nd, and 3rd dantians. In reality, it was indeed so. On the 6th level, the rolling tribulation clouds attacked. This was the earth element cloud, which was exactly the same as the cloud sank ground. Therefore, Lin Ling cultivated as he walked forward. He actually broke through again and entered the 8th level of the true God realm. And after that, he used all the Emperor crystals on the other 2 dantians, allowing them to enter the range of the 7th level of the true God realm. This time, his strength had increased by a full 2 times. However, this kind of extravagant burning of money ended very quickly because the cultivation of the 3 dantians could not be squandered no matter how many Emperor crystals he had. Looks like I can only wait for the final reward. Lin Ling's gaze fell on the Green Emperor's jade seal. In between steps, he walked past the 6th level with familiarity and reached the 7th level. The 7th level was the same tribulation cloud that Lin Ling walked past. It was the wood tribulation cloud, and he easily passed through it again. He even had a feeling that these tribulation clouds seemed to recognize him. Not only did they not stop him, they even took the initiative to give way. It looked like there were some benefits in ringing the Green Province divine bell. And the 8th level was also close at hand. Lin Ling? Of course, there were some powerhouses who didn't know Lin Ling. They were only familiar with him through conversations. Therefore, they didn't think that this side character had the qualifications to meddle with the Emperor's fate. No matter how many ordinary stars appear, the Qing Emperor's jade seal belongs to the 81st prince. The 9th prince's voice also drifted out, mixed with a strong sense of confidence. In his opinion, whether it was Lin Ling or Tantai Bingdai, they were all mortals. How could they compete with the 81st prince who had the Qing Emperor's bloodline? Mortals were mortals. At this moment, on the 8th floor, demonic clouds were rolling, causing this floor to be very quiet. Moreover, this floor was not very big, only 100 meters in radius. However, there were many demonic gods engraved on the walls, giving people a very oppressive feeling. Pa! 2 figures stood on the 8th floor and walked forward with steady steps. It seemed to be 100 meters in radius, but each step was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Demonic barrier, and it's even more terrifying than the illusions I've encountered in my entire life. Tantai Bingdai was sweating profusely. She looked exhausted because a large amount of demonic barriers were attacking her body. It was as if a huge rock was pressing down on her soul. These demonic barriers were very frightening and were something she had seen in her life. If she didn't wear a mysterious extreme treasure, she would have died long ago. It was because of the extreme treasure her master gave her that she was able to reach this point. She even thought about the treasure her master gave her and the words she had once said. In the 9 provinces, those who obtain the Jade Seal have a great chance of obtaining the Emperor's fate. This Rongchen Classic Jade contains a large amount of royal aura and glory, allowing you to be impervious to all evil. It was once worn by someone from the Crimson Province who obtained the Jade Seal. With this jade, you have a great chance of obtaining the Qing Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal. Although she said this, Tantai Bingdai found that the jade pendant did not give her a 100% chance of obtaining the Qing Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal. Tantai Bingdai, you need to work harder. You are only 18 steps away from the 81st prince. At this time, a clear sound came from Tantai Bingdai's jade pendant. I know, but that guy is not human. Under such a demonic barrier, he can still go so far. Tantai Bingdai looked up and saw a young man still moving forward. He was different from ordinary people and had an extra trace of innocence and persistence. He looked like he was only 20 years old and was not a genius who had cultivated for 1,000 years. This was the 81st prince. During the entire process, Tantai Bingdai did not even see his appearance. Chapter 2804. The 9th floor. Tantai Bingdai stared at the young man, but she quickly reacted and hurriedly said, "The inner demon of the 8th floor comes from the myriad of worlds. It is the 7 emotions and 6 desires of humans as well as a type of evil energy from the bedeviled. After tens of millions of years, it is finally born. It is not something a first-timer can resist." She knew that Lin Ling was very strong, but she always thought that Lin Ling was a bit weaker than her. Taking a step back, Lin Ling was on the same level as her, but even she couldn't stop these inner demons. How could Lin Ling succeed? I know. However, Lin Ling's calm answer left Tantai Bingdai standing there in astonishment. Lin Ling was like a newborn calf that wasn't afraid of a tiger. He didn't seem to know the power of this floor. However, when she wanted to remind him again, she saw Lin Ling firmly moving forward. All kinds of inner demons surrounded Lin Ling, killing, greed, lust, and so on. Lin Ling's steps suddenly stopped. Not good. Tantai Bingdai couldn't help but shout, thinking that Lin Ling was lost in the inner demons. Tantai Bingdai, that brat is dead for sure. Do you see the demonic statues in the hall? Those are the people who entered the inner demons. They entered a new world and couldn't come out for the rest of their lives, turning into statues for the rest of their lives. Tantai Bingdai's jade token also let out a sound. Pa. However, the moment this sound came out, Lin Ling took another step forward. Then, with a slow and steady pace, he quietly moved forward. At this time, Tantai Bingdi's mouth was agape. Her originally nervous expression turned into shock. He really did it. She originally thought that Lin Ling was on par with her, but the scene before her told her that Lin Ling was actually stronger and more capable than her. No wonder Sir Tong Man of the imperial court valued Lin Ling. So this was the case. This guy is still the strongest generation. He looks like an exceptional talent who has been famous for many years. Tantai Bingdi was the imperial court's most powerful exceptional talent. She was arrogant to begin with and had an unyielding character that could look down on all other mountains. But now, she had no choice but to accept this. She even saw that Lin Ling's speed was slightly faster than the 81st prince's. I hope he can defeat the 81st prince. At this moment, the hope in Tantai Bingdi's heart grew even stronger. Of course, she was even more curious about this Lin Ling who had suddenly appeared. At that moment, the 81st prince had already entered the 9th level and was completely unaware of what was happening behind him. In his opinion, he had already obtained the Azure the Arch-Imperial Jade Seal. His greatest enemy was not his opponent, but the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. As for Lin Ling, he was still pacing back and forth on the 8th level. Who is he? The 9th prince's face was very gloomy. He had naturally heard of Lin Ling's name, but he had always thought that he was just a passerby. But now, even a passerby wanted the Azure Emperor's Jade Seal. This was unexpected. Even if he reached the 9th level, what's the use? It's just a flash in the pan. The 9th prince said again. That's right. How can a mere Lin Ling compete with the bright moon? Yes. The Azure Dragon King quickly added. He seemed to be flattering the 9th prince, but he was actually very nervous. This was because he did not want Lin Ling to shine like a comet in Qingzhou. Without a doubt, because of Lin Ling's appearance, the entire Great Azure Divine Dynasty was moved. No one expected this junior, who had caused a commotion in the Great Azure Divine Dynasty not long ago, to be competing for the Azure Emperor's Jade Seal today. Let's wait and see. Lin Ling can reach the 9th level, so he must have his own ability. Yes. Compared to the 9th prince and the others, the people of the imperial court were full of confidence in Lin Ling. At this moment, in the 9th level, a slender figure was forcing his way forward. His pace was not fast, and sweat poured down his body. I didn't expect the 9th level to be an emperor's tribulation, shouldering all the lives in the world. Yes. This young man muttered to himself, and his expression became even more serious. This was because the 9th level did not have any tribulations. It was only a tempering of the soul and body. It was a kind of emperor's aura, as if one was carrying all the lives in the world. This mysterious power was the most terrifying in the entire Copper Sparrow Pavilion. This was because as an emperor, one had to be concerned with the entire world, including gods, demons, and all the lives in the world. Even the laws of life and death had formed the emperor's tribulation. Chapter 2805. The 81st Prince. With each step forward, the emperor's tribulation becomes greater and greater. This power is comparable to the weight of 100 realms. Moreover, both the soul and the body are suffering from this power. The youth revealed a smile and seemed to become more courageous as he fought. The Azure Emperor carried so much on his back. If he can do it, so can I. His words were filled with lofty ambitions. For this day, I have been suppressing my cultivation, allowing myself to remain at the true immortal realm. For this day, I have paid a lot. I will definitely obtain the Azure Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal. He took another step forward. His bones and soul were immediately suppressed by the Emperor's tribulation, making crackling sounds. However, his spine was still straight, and no one could stop his footsteps. This was because he was the Azure Emperor's son, the 81st Azure Emperor's son. He was also a genius of the 9 states. He was just over 20 years old, but he was already one of the 9 heavens of the Azure state. The so-called exceptional talents are like ants before me. If not me, then who? Now, apart from the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, who else can be my opponent? His voice was extremely loud and clear, as if he was giving himself great confidence. Of course, his will was firm and the effect was obvious. In a short period of time, he took another step forward. Victory and defeat have been decided. He smiled again. Pa. However, just as his smile rose, a strange sound of footsteps came from behind him. His pupils constricted and filled with disbelief. Tantai Bingdai, you reached the 9th level? He slowly turned his head to look. However, what made him even more surprised was that the person behind him was not Tantai Bingdai, but a handsome youth. This youth's face was filled with determination and was covered in sweat. It seemed that he had also experienced many twists and turns to reach this level. How is this possible? The 81st prince spat out in horror. His heart was in a perilous situation. The person who came was Lin Ling. At this moment, he was also looking at the 81st prince. He had long heard of this person's name. He was the most mysterious among the exceptional talents and had the Azure Emperor's bloodline. Now, it seemed that the 81st prince was even more terrifying than he had imagined. This was because Lin Ling's 10,000 demon eyes could see that this person was indeed in his 20s. Looks like he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Lin Ling thought to himself. Moreover, he could sense that this 81st prince was even more powerful than him. This was the first time he, Lin Ling, had met a genius younger than him who was stronger than him. Sure enough, in the land of the 9 prefectures, there was always someone better than you. Fortunately, although Lin Ling's cultivation speed was fast, he was never complacent. Moreover, the other party's background was much better than his, so Lin Ling wouldn't be jealous at all. The only way was to surpass his opponent's fighting spirit. He, Li Xiaoyao, had also seen the geniuses of Zhozhou in the past, but in the end, didn't he surpass them one by one? Finally, he caught up. Lin Ling put away his thoughts and smiled. Your name is Lin Ling? The 81st prince's voice was very pleasant to the ears, like the sound of a jade zither. He had also regained his composure. Although Lin Ling had surprised him, it didn't mean that Lin Ling had obtained the Azure Emperor's imperial jade seal. Therefore, he didn't need to panic. Of course, Lin Ling did have some skills to be able to surprise the dignified 81st prince. Looks like I've underestimated you. Although the 80th prince knew of Lin Ling's name, he obviously thought of Lin Ling as a passerby. I was lucky to climb up here. The process wasn't easy. Lin Ling smiled. This was the first time he had met the 81st prince. They weren't enemies, but they were on different sides. Therefore, he said again, you're more powerful than I thought. It's because you're one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou, right? That's right. I'm indeed one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou. Moreover, I'm the youngest of the 9 heavens. The 81st prince didn't hide anything, but he still shook his head. This Copper Sparrow Terrace can't be climbed up by luck. At least, Tantai Bingdai isn't as good as you. However, no matter what you've experienced, I represent the bloodline of the Azure Emperor. Therefore, I can't give the Azure Emperor's imperial jade seal to anyone. Following the last sentence, the 81st prince's expression turned serious. If other exceptional talents were here, they would definitely be shocked. That was because the 80th prince was very young. He was always smiling at everyone and had never treated an exceptional talent seriously. Lin Ling was the first. I don't represent anyone, but I promised the imperial court. Therefore, I will do my best. Lin Ling stopped smiling and his expression turned serious. Then let's see who's more powerful. The 81st Crown Prince spat out these words with determination. He looked ahead and was already moving forward again. Lin Ling looked at the 81st Prince and felt even more serious. This prince was indeed an amazing person. Although he had the bloodline of the Azure Emperor, he wasn't arrogant and looked down on everyone. This kind of talent and humility was the most terrifying. Then, Lin Ling retracted his gaze and looked into the distance. I've never seen this level of tribulation cloud on the cloud path. Moreover, it has a mysterious power that suppresses both the physical body and the soul. It's like the tribulation of the devil and ghost tribulation cloud. However, I'm already here. How can I be weaker than others? Lin Ling gritted his teeth and took a step forward. The mysterious power was like shackles that shrouded his physical body and soul, making it difficult for him to move. His body also started to tremble. That was because the power was too strong. Fortunately, Lin Ling's godly demon body wasn't weak either. Therefore, he could barely withstand it. As for soul power, it had always been Lin Ling's forte. Therefore, he didn't feel any pressure at the moment. Space. Along the way, Lin Ling occasionally glanced at the 81st Prince and realized that this genius of the 9 states was good at space. Moreover, his control of space was very strong. He was probably the best among the younger generation in Qingzhou. Lin Ling had also cultivated space before. However, he was obviously no match for the 81st Prince. The two of them chased each other on the 9th level. Although it didn't seem that big, it took a lot of effort for the two of them. They walked for a full day and night. Even on the Great Azure God Dynasty's side, countless experts looked up at the sky. They had been watching for a full day and night. However, they were all very nervous. Success or failure depended on this. Of course, compared to the liveliness on their side, the 9th level was very quiet. The two figures were like stone statues. They took a long time to take a step forward. However, the 81st Prince had obviously reached the latter half of the level. However, at that moment, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. The Emperor's tribulation has become even stronger. It's starting to suppress my cultivation. Previously, he could still barely resist the suppression of his soul power and physical body. However, it was a little difficult now. That was because most of his space came from his cultivation. If his cultivation was suppressed, then his combat power would be greatly reduced. Chapter 2806. The Azure Emperor's Imperial Majesty. The short distance was like the distance between heaven and earth. It was to the extent where he had a feeling that if another exceptional talent was here, forget about leaving, they might have been directly suppressed to death. The Imperial Tribulation, the Imperial Majesty was inviolable. Drip. His sweat kept dripping, but it turned into nothingness before it touched the ground. It was suppressed by the Imperial Tribulation. He simply sat down cross-legged. At least before he familiarized himself with the current Imperial Tribulation, it was not suitable for him to move forward. I have the Imperial Qi, but I can only reach this far. That Lin Ling is probably even worse. After sitting down cross-legged, the 81st Prince turned his head to look. However, as soon as he looked, his pupils instantly shrank. This was because Lin Ling was only 5 steps away from him. He did not realize that Lin Ling was actually behind him and was getting closer and closer. I am one of the 9 heavens of Qingzhou, and I have the Azure Emperor's bloodline. Although the Copper Sparrow Terrace does not test one's strength, I am more powerful than him in every aspect. Why is he getting closer and closer? The 81st Prince said in disbelief. As the Azure Emperor's bloodline, he had left Qingzhou since he was young and had seen the true sons of the other 9 states. Therefore, he had always thought that there were no more than 5 people in Qingzhou that he would pay attention to. But now, there was one more person. Most importantly, this person was a passerby. It's starting to suppress one's cultivation. What is this level? Why is it more terrifying than the tribulation clouds of the Cloud Saint Land? Lin Ling had just stepped forward when he gritted his teeth and said. Unfortunately, the 81st Prince did not know what the Cloud Saint Land was. This was because the place Lin Ling had been to before was actually called the Thunder Destiny Land. Otherwise, the 81st Prince would be even more surprised. If he knew that this passerby was the one who had rung the Qingzhou divine bell, he would probably vomit blood. Was this still a passerby? As he thought about this, the 81st prince looked at Lin Ling. However, the moment Lin Ling approached him, he immediately could not adapt to the new imperial tribulation. His knees immediately bent and sweat poured down like rain. His face was also incomparably pale as he gritted his teeth. However, just as the 81st prince thought that Lin Ling was about to fail, his bent knees made a cracking sound as he stood up straight again. This guy. Witnessing this scene with his own eyes, the 81st prince said with a trembling mouth. Though he was a genius of the 9 prefectures, it was a pity that his weakness was also very obvious. It was precisely because he had little experience, so when he saw Lin Ling being so determined, even he was shocked. This was a real man. The vicissitudes of life, blood, and sweat he had experienced were clearly several times that of the 81st prince. I want to reach the finish line. After standing up straight, Lin Ling said word by word. His words were firm, but his body continued to tremble. It's very difficult. However, the 81st prince didn't laugh at Lin Ling's trembling because he knew that other than him and Lin Ling, the others would be even more unbearable. What I have promised others, I will do. Lin Ling ignored the 81st prince and continued. What you promised others? You are truly a madman. After knowing Lin Ling's goal, the 81st prince helplessly shook his head and said, You and I both know how difficult the remaining path is. This imperial tribulation is a 3-pronged test, the body, the soul, and the cultivation. If any of these is weak, then it will become a weakness and the tribulation will attack you. Once you fail, you will die. I know, but if I don't try, how will I know? Lin Ling rested for a moment before continuing. Madman. The 81st prince murmured in his mind. He wanted to copy Lin Ling and stand up to continue, but reality made him want to, but he was powerless. At this moment, he couldn't help but admire Lin Ling. Of course, with his age, Lin Ling was indeed his senior brother. Boom! It did not take long for Lin Ling to overtake the 81st prince. However, his body was trembling even more violently, and his entire body was dripping with fresh blood. His body, soul, and cultivation were all being suppressed like never before. Give up. If this continues, you might die. The 81st prince stared at Lin Ling because a puddle of blood had formed below Lin Ling's feet, causing him to be a bit frightened. However, Lin Ling ignored him and continued to stare forward. This undoubtedly caused the 81st prince to sigh in his mind. He didn't understand why Lin Ling was so persistent. Perhaps Lin Ling was a paranoid maniac. Once he had decided on something, even 9 bulls could not pull him back. Normally, there were only 2 endings for such a person. One was death, and the other was surviving a calamity to break out of a new world. He suddenly felt that the reason why Lin Ling was able to become famous in the Azure Prefecture and even move him was because of his paranoid nature. Of course, he didn't know that Lin Ling was able to reach his current height due to his own trump cards outside of his paranoid nature. The triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit was one of them. Although the 81st prince was more powerful than Lin Ling, in terms of foundation, he couldn't compare to Lin Ling at all. In fact, in the entire Azure Prefecture and the entire 9 states, Lin Ling was the best among his peers in terms of triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit. It was because of his triple cultivation of essence, qi, and spirit that Lin Ling was able to persist until now. He took another step forward. Chapter 2807. It was my turn to be the emperor this year. Their faces turned pale. They guessed that someone was close to the Lotus Thearcha's jade seal. The Lotus Thearcha's jade seal was of great importance. Once it was taken, it meant that the Lotus Thearch had completely fallen from the throne. Hence, the Lotus Thearch would definitely stop this person. I wonder who it is. Could it be the 81st prince who reached the end? It could be senior sister Bingdai too. There's also Lin Ling. He also reached the end. Which of the three of them will touch the Lotus Thearka's jade seal? The exceptional talents all spoke in shock. However, on the 9th level, the tall man was still looking at Lin Ling with a cold expression. Mere mortals, how dare you touch the Lotus Thearka's jade seal? You haven't cultivated enough yet. Go back and cultivate for 1,000 years before coming back. His voice was reprimanding and imposing. It actually made everyone feel inferior, as if they were really weak. Even the 81st prince was the same. Since ancient times, there have been deities in the 9 prefectures who created the world. If you want to obtain the Lotus Thearka's throne, you have to go through thousands of tribulations. You are not qualified. Moreover, the Lotus Thearch will not be born among you. The Lotus Thearch said again. His words were like a stone that stirred up 1,000 ripples. The expressions of those who wanted to become the Lotus Thearch changed drastically. They were not qualified. At this moment, Lin Ling gritted his teeth and stubbornly felt that his entire body was being suppressed by the Emperor's aura. He could not stand up or straighten his back. However, the Lotus Thearka's words had also ignited his fighting spirit. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. In order to stand up, Lin Ling had forcefully broken his knee. This guy. The 81st prince sucked in a breath of cold air. Was Lin Ling trying not to kneel? How dare you! The Lotus Thearch roared angrily. An even more powerful emperor's aura suppressed Lin Ling. This emperor's aura was formed by the sun, moon, stars, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. It represented the Lotus Thearka's ability to dominate everything. Crack! However, Lin Ling still tried to stand up. This time, the sole of his foot was also broken. Only one foot was still standing. He refused to kneel. However, Lin Ling's mind was in a blur at this moment. The reason why he didn't kneel was because he only remembered one mission, to seize the Azure Emperor's Imperial Jade Seal. Everything else was no longer important. Including the Qing Emperor. However, Emperor Qing's might was not something that Lin Ling could resist. Gradually, Lin Ling's consciousness became more and more blurry. But subconsciously, his strength began to erupt. First, it was the fusion of his 3 dantians, then the tyrannical song sword, and finally the evil flame transformation. The 81st prince in the distance sucked in a breath of cold air. He was certain that Lin Ling was the number 1 under the 9 heavens in Qingzhou. Of course, this bit of strength was nothing to the Lotus Emperor. Therefore, in his subconscious, Lin Ling's trump card exploded once again. The 10,000 mammoths' devil eyes seemed to be able to see through the Azure Thearch. The Lotus Thearka's eyes lit up. However, this was not the end. Something terrifying happened again. Rumble. Lin Ling's trump card, which had been hidden all this while, had appeared at this moment. In the sky, the space-time divine monument appeared. It suppressed the Lotus Emperor like the investiture of the gods. It was fearless. This guy. The 81st prince in the distance exclaimed in horror. Lin Ling actually dared to attack the Lotus Emperor. Furthermore, what was that black divine monument? Why did it give him the feeling that it was an existence that had reached the legendary ultimate desolate body? Furthermore, it was a top-notch talent among the ultimate desolate bodies. How dare you! The Lotus Emperor roared like a dragon and raged. Unfortunately, the space-time divine monument was heartless. It ignored his might and continued to suppress him. The Lotus Emperor did not expect that while he was suppressing the youth was resisting with all his might and suppressing him. Furthermore, the youth's methods were extremely sharp. He could not help but begin to take the youth seriously. The young man stood on the ground with one leg. His long hair danced in the wind and his blue robe was dyed red with blood. He looked like a death god from the underworld. He stood shakily and gave off a great pressure. The Son of Heaven's decree is the decree of the heavens. In ancient times, a god created the world and set the rules. The Qing prefecture's divine bell rang, and the Lotus Emperor was removed from the throne. Now, you are obstructing us from obtaining the Lotus Emperor's jade seal. Are you trying to violate the rules set by a god? Suddenly, the youth spoke. It was very cold. However, it was mixed with a strong sense of authority. I am. The Lotus Emperor immediately replied. You don't have to answer. We all know that you are indignant. You are afraid that a successor will surpass you and rule over the Qing prefecture. Therefore, you are obstructing us. However, don't forget that back when you obtained the Lotus Emperor's jade seal and became the Lotus Emperor, you were not qualified back then. The youth said coldly. He seemed to have said it subconsciously, but also seemed to have sobered up. How dare you? How dare you? The illusory Lotus Emperor's face seemed to turn green and red. I am indeed bold. Because I think that the throne will be mine next year. The Lotus Emperor is nothing. The youth smiled. He finally raised his head. His long, messy hair faintly revealed an ambitious smile. Suppress. Suppress. Following the youth's low shout, the divine steel of time and space in the sky came crashing down, directly smashing the Lotus Emperor's authority into ashes. Smack. The youth dragged his broken leg and walked step by step to the finish line. Along the way, his body was covered in blood, leaving a long trail of blood on the ground. However, he finally disappeared at the finish line. At this moment, the 9th level was dead silent. It was as if everything that had happened before was just a dream. Only the 81st prince sat there in a daze, as if he had lost his soul. He was the only witness. He succeeded. Yes. Finally, a voice filled with shock floated out of his mouth. It lasted for a long time. Of course, the great Qing divine dynasty was also in a state of madness and rebellion. This was because everyone saw that an ordinary star had finally reached the Emperor star. It had even completely merged with the Emperor star. This scene was earth-shattering, and it caused the entire great Qing divine dynasty to surge like a tide. Even the guardians of the 9 fated lands in the faraway realms were shocked. Especially in the destined land of lightning, the elders were all blowing their beards. I heard that 3 people reached the 8th level in the end. The 81st prince, a girl called Bingdai, and most importantly, that little guy who caused trouble is also there. Yeah, why is he everywhere? He caused trouble by ringing the Qingzhou divine bell, and now he's going to snatch the Lotus Emperor's jade seal. Heavens, this guy's birth is going to disrupt the chaos of the universe. The elders walked back and forth, and they were so shocked that they were spinning in circles. In fact, they weren't sure that Lin Ling had reached the Emperor's star, but Lin Ling's ringing of the Qingzhou divine bell made them think that this guy was simply someone who wanted to see the world in chaos. Now, Lin Ling had appeared on the last level. Everything was possible. Maybe this guy will be the next Azure the Arch. Yeah, even the bloodline of the Lotus Emperor is inferior to him. TSK, where did this freak come from? Chapter 2808. An ancient legend. Compared to their guesses, the great Azure divine dynasty wasn't sure who had reached the end. Voices of doubt rose and fell. As for the exceptional talents of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion, they all stopped because they realized that all the tribulation clouds had disappeared. This meant that they were too slow. The Azure Thearch's jade seal had been taken by someone else. But who was it? All kinds of guesses rose and fell. However, none of this affected Lin Ling. He had reached the end, walked through a long corridor, and finally reached the peak of the Copper Sparrow Pavilion. Lin Ling was even more curious about the Azure Thearch's jade seal. This was the rule set by the immortal, and even the emperors of the 9 states had to follow this rule. Then, who was the immortal? Luckily, the divine steel of time and space. I didn't think that the process of seizing the Azure Thearch's jade seal would be so difficult. In my previous life, when I was still Li Xiaoyao, I missed the time when the emperors ascended, so I didn't know this secret. Lin Ling dragged his heavily injured body forward slowly, but a smile appeared on his face. Because he realized that under the Azure Thearch's imperial aura, his soul power had instantly increased, reaching 3,000 levels. Now, with the triple cultivation of essence, energy, and spirit, his soul power had once again surpassed the other two areas. And as he moved forward, his heavily injured body also slowly recovered. I wonder what treasures there will be at the end. Lin Ling was obviously looking forward to what he would encounter next. Following the corridor, the stairs began to wind upwards. After walking out, Lin Ling appeared in an ancient city wall that looked like a beacon tower. Above the sky, purple haze floated in the horizon. This didn't seem to be the Azure State anymore, as if it was another space in the universe. Lin Ling looked around and saw that the purple haze was sparkling and translucent. It actually floated up and down like a tide, extremely mysterious. And in the haze, thousands of soldiers and horses appeared, and ghosts and gods appeared, fighting with each other. The battle between these experts directly caused 10,000 worlds to collapse, as if it was something from the ancient era. Lin Ling even saw the scene of the creation of heaven and earth. Most importantly, the scene was somewhat familiar to him because it was a bare-chested giant with an axe in his hand. He severed the primal chaos and finally formed a new primal chaos. The giant's body disintegrated. Its flesh and bones turned into rivers and its eyes turned into suns. All of this gave Lin Ling a very familiar feeling. Later on, Lin Ling saw a woman with a serpent's tail. She created living beings. Aren't they Pangu and Nuwa? Isn't this an ancient myth rumored among the people on Earth? Lin Ling's mouth twitched in disbelief. In his opinion, Wuxia was an extremely weak world among the 10,000 worlds, but the story here was related to Wuxia. Could it be that the ancient myths didn't just create Wuxia, but the entire universe of chaos? Or perhaps, there were experts from the ancient Wuxia who came to the chaos of the universe and recorded everything. That was why Wuxia had these ancient legends. The world in front of me is a world that even Li Xiaoyao hasn't touched. There are too many secrets hidden in this universe of chaos. The purple haze in the sky gradually disappeared and returned to normal. Lin Ling continued to move forward. 8 shooting stars. Suddenly, the purple haze in the sky disappeared and became pitch black. 8 dazzling stars hung in the sky, which puzzled Lin Ling. Then, he thought that those shooting stars should represent Jojo. As for the last one, it should be the place where he was standing. Shaking his head, Lin Ling continued to move forward. The beacon-like city wall was very large. As he walked along the city wall, a bright light suddenly appeared in front of him. It was so dazzling that Lin Ling couldn't see clearly. After finally adjusting to the light, Lin Ling saw that it was a huge golden mountain. This mountain was golden and magnificent. There was nothing on it, so Lin Ling directly walked onto this mysterious golden mountain. However, the golden mountain was very large. After stepping on it, a strange feeling wrapped around his body. It actually healed all of Lin Ling's injuries. This golden light is a little unusual. Lin Ling was secretly surprised. Roar. However, at this moment, a roar came from the sky. In the sky, an endless dragon ancestor appeared. This dragon was made of bones and seemed to be made of gold. It rumbled as it flew across the sky. Moreover, both of its heads were looking at Lin Ling. At this moment, Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air. That mysterious golden skeletal dragon gave him a great sense of pressure. What kind of secret is hidden in this Azure Emperor's imperial jade seal? Why is there such a super divine beast? Lin Ling almost wanted to run away. However, when he thought that he couldn't outrun the golden skeletal dragon, he didn't want to run away. He also didn't believe that he would be killed by an ancient divine beast when he came here to take the Azure Emperor's imperial jade seal. Roar. However, the earth suddenly shook. In the distant void, a burly figure ran over, causing the void to shatter like glass. Heaven and earth shook. Then, a huge stone ape appeared. This stone ape had 3 eyes and its body was gray. However, its body was the largest that Lin Ling had ever seen in his life. It was probably as big as a city in Qingzhou. The stone ape let out a roar and jumped up. It landed on the golden skeletal dragon and used its huge arms to pull the ancient golden dragon apart. This one is more terrifying than the other. Lin Ling's mouth trembled. What kind of madness is this ancient divine beast? However, that was not the end of Lin Ling's surprise. Birds chirped as a one-legged white bird appeared and hopped over. Moreover, this bird looked as big as a chicken, but the moment it appeared, the gigantic stone ape was clearly afraid. It looked at the bird with hostility and actually did not dare to attack rashly. In addition, a huge green ox came from the east and slowly moved forward. In the west, a black tiger with 6 wings on its back appeared. It flew over like a black bolt of lightning. In the south, there was a black cloak. It was unknown whether it was a human or a god of the underworld. It was also flying over quickly. Of course, Lin Ling saw that the black cloak wasn't a human. It was just a cloak. However, its appearance was filled with an aura of death. Next was the 3-headed giant dog and the thunder jellyfish king. There were too many of them. These unknown ancient divine beasts were all gathered at the sacred mountain. As for Lin Ling, he was the weakest among them. Now, he could neither leave nor stay. He was very depressed. Most importantly, these ancient divine beasts soon began to fight. That white bird the size of a chicken had actually killed the tall and sturdy stone ape. Rumble. When the stone ape smashed down, Lin Ling's mouth continued to twitch. As expected, you can't judge a chicken by its appearance. Lin Ling didn't know the origin of these monsters. However, he didn't expect that this ordinary-looking monster was the most powerful. Wang wang wang. Suddenly, the sound of a divine bell resounded, and then a bamboo shoot silently grew out from the peak of the mountain. At this moment, all the ancient divine beasts stopped fighting and gazed at the bamboo shoot with burning desire in their eyes. Could it be that they came for that bamboo shoot?